Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the European Technology Network, the show that you watch at work. It is episode 2. The day is the Thursday, the 16th of October, 11:04.
13th.
16th, no?
Yeah.
Oh, did I say 13th?
Yeah.
My bad. Luke, can you give us an intro on the guests that we're speaking to today, please?
Yes, I can. So we have Matt coming on at Jack and Jill. They literally just announced their 20 million seed
Like an hour
round
ago.
led by Creandum, which is really exciting. Dom Hallis, he is the executive director at Startup
Coalition.
Startup Coalition, exciting stuff. Who else is coming on? We have James Wise, partner at Boulderton, absolute big dog. He's very well known in the European technology scene. He's going to be a great guest to come on. Jameson Seidel, she's a GP at Chapter 1. She's releasing something new as well on the show, so stay tuned for that. And then Zoe Kin, VP at Dawn Capital. Stacked lineup, it's going to be very good. Same times, guests coming on,
yep.
So it's going to be good.
Some of the news we've got today, we're looking at Oura hits 11 billion valuation after 900 million Series F. We'll be looking at some of the comments, what the public is saying on X. We've got, as Luke mentioned, Jack and Jill raising the £20 million round announced about an hour ago. AI browser Strawberry raises $6 million from a GC founders at Lovable, Hugging Face and Superbase. Stockholm's top entrepreneurs join the defence race. Waymo coming to London.
I'm excited for this one. That's going to be quite cool.
UK Data Center, Nscale strikes $14 billion Microsoft deal in push for IPO. Munich-based Tubulus secures $308 million advance to antibody drug conjugate innovation. Before we jump into all this though, we got a few messages yesterday after we went live about how bare our shelves are, didn't we?
Over the past few days, but yeah.
And we got a lot of inbound from a lot of people trying to send us stuff, which we're very grateful for. And soon it's all on the way. We've given the address, the parcels are on the way. But we do have some stuff to bring out now, and I'm actually quite keen to unbox it live. So, bringing out the first thing.
Yeah.
It may just look like 4 Red Bull energy drinks, and you'd be right if you thought that. But this is actually sent in from the US from Red Bull Futurist on X. It was actually the first trade deal that we brokered with a US entity. So thank you for these. We're actually going to let's put them right here, because I might have one in a sec. And the second thing, so this technically, we are cheating a little bit, but this here, if the stream can see this lovely box I'm showing you, this is from the Boulderton 25th anniversary the other day. We mentioned it on stream, they shut down the whole V&A. It was a who's who of guests from venture teams, the tech ecosystem in general, black tie, poker, roulette tables, cocktails. It was a fun day. So a little greeting card.
Maybe read the greeting card out.
Thank you for joining us to celebrate Boulderton's 25th anniversary. This gift was created by ceramicist Florence St. George, and we hope it is not only a reminder of the evening, but also of your contribution to Boulderton's history as we reach this significant milestone.
Who's Florence St. George?
I think just a famous
ceramicist. Very nice.
Boulderton,
they never go short. They're always very nice with
always pushing the frontier of not only AI but ceramic gifts.
And we have James Wise coming on later, so stay tuned.
And here is my
plate
from Boulderton.
That'll go on the shelf.
So that's lovely. Let's put that there. Thank you, Boulderton. Luke, have you got the other thing that we got today?
Yeah, this is massive.
Oh, that is massive.
So this is, I don't know if you can see, let me do this.
Can we move? Yeah, nice.
Okay. This is a box of merch for us. Who got this for us? We need to shout them out. Let's.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me go through. Here, you take this.
Up.
You start opening it, and I will.
You check who this is from. Is there a name on it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll check who it's from. Or you open it. Go for it.
I might use like a knife or something for this. It's quite big.
Nah, just use your nails. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Rip it open. There you go.
Oh yeah, we're good. So what we're going to be doing is these things come in. We're going to post what we get on X.
This is from, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, Jeroen Westerbeek, founder of Monday Merch. Go and get your merch today.
Can you hold that?
Let's, we have some caps.
And I think we've got some
more caps.
Tees and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they're t-shirts. The guys over at Monday Merch have really helped us out here. This is free of charge. Very, very nice of them.
Oh, and get them on the camera. How many are there? We've got 4 there.
Yeah.
We should do a giveaway.
No, we have 5 of those.
5.
Yeah.
And then also, it looks like we've got
Very
some
nice.
amazing t-shirts. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Look at these things.
They might have absolutely
ETN,
outdone it.
first ever ETN. I know we got the caps, but these are fresh.
First ever ETN t-shirts going live. We'll
This
wear
is
these.
huge. This is a. We'll remember this day forever.
Let's put one of these on.
Okay, I'm gonna put these.
Thank you so much to Monday Merch.
T-shirts.
They've helped us out here. This is very good.
First thing on, well, second thing on the
nice.
shelf.
They're so nice.
Monday Merch.
So I put these on the shelf as
We'll
well.
be giving those away, and let's get Balderson's plate. I don't
want to break that.
They're getting centre stage, right? It's like first come, first serve. I guess let's get them.
Put them there. Just for now, we'll just put that there. You can see that. That's fine.
What an addition.
We have, so the first guest that we have coming on is Matt, Jack and Jill. They've obviously just released their $20 million series seed round. We can jump into that a little bit later. But I think first, let's jump into a bit of the news. There was a lot of stuff on the timeline about Waymo coming to London in 2026. Extremely exciting, a big move for them. And there was a comment from Wave on.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the article.
I think
first.
which is quite exciting.
So
Waymo says London launch in 2026. First international robo-taxi market. Safety driver testing on public roads starts in the coming weeks. So you'll see them on the roads if you're in London.
That's insane. So this is from the FT. Waymo, the Alphabet-owned self-driving car company, plans to launch its robo-taxis in London next year after the UK government accelerated rules to allow fully driverless services.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's good. That's really good. The company announced on Wednesday that the British capital would be Waymo's first European city, having previously launched in 5 cities in the US and rolled out a pilot program in Tokyo in April. Waymo's launch will be a boost to the UK's efforts to catch up with the US and China, where autonomous vehicles have become a familiar sight on public roads. And then we've got a quote from Waymo's co-chief executive. We've demonstrated how to responsibly scale fully autonomous ride-hailing, and we can't wait to expand the benefits of our technology to the United Kingdom. See, this is interesting because, one, for some reason, I just would never think that we'd ever get something like this.
Well, I think so a lot of people are saying that that everything going on London roads, how hard it is to drive on London roads is mental in terms of if you can drive on London roads and you can have an autonomous vehicle driving on London roads, you're basically cracking everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's super interesting. Obviously, Wave just announced their deal with Nissan. Waymo is sticking with Jaguar, the Jaguar I-Pace SUVs. I think they're really nice. I think they're pretty cool.
I'd rather get in a Waymo Jag.
I think I'd rather get in a Jag.
A Nissan Wave.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I mean?
Jag, they're from the UK, right?
I know,
So
one of us.
exciting stuff.
But I thought, what I'm interested to see is there's been a few things online, and this happened with Uber, right? This happened with Uber everywhere, but particularly because there's like a high, like black cabs, like that is like the big thing of London in terms of transport, and has been for a while. But like, I remember how when I first moved down to London, like people were warning me, like, don't, if you're in a black cab, don't mention Uber because they'll get pretty pissed off. And like I remember seeing a video when Ubers were rolled out in, I think it was in New York, where like, the yellow cabbies were there's videos of them like fighting Uber drivers, physically in the street. They're fighting because they're like, you're going to take my
But
job.
how autonomous vehicles going to be fighting?
Well, no, so in terms of like cabbies and stuff, like this is like it's a taxi, right? Like you'd hail the same thing. So it's another hit to.
Well, I think Waymo integrates into Uber and all of those apps.
Hey,
for
but-
ride hailing. And they obviously use their
yeah.
own Waymo app, right? So in terms of, I want to ask James actually at Boulderton a question about this, where it's like, are you going to see one vehicle or one automated vehicle company owning the whole place, owning the whole city? Or is it going to be like a bit more of a fragmented market where they can kind of coexist?
Like regional.
Is it like going to be a Bolt and Uber situation?
Yeah.
Or is it literally going to be, because you have that with electric bikes and scooters.
I was going to say,
stuff,
right? Like
lime,
we've got
forest.
yeah. I'm more of a forest guy myself. I think you're more of a lime guy.
I mean, I kind of switch between the two, but like some people have their reservations, right? And so what's interesting is I want to ask James about this is there going to be one straight winner? Obviously, Waymo is like in multiple US cities, and reports heavy kind of weekly ride volume all the time. And so transitioning to London, their main thing is their tech going to work in London?
Yeah.
On a busy road, not like a US road, very, very different. So that'll be interesting. So, stay vigilant on the roads in London.
I'm realizing now, like the cyclists,
Yeah.
they're going to go to war with these things because
if you've ever cycled through like Vauxhall at 9 a.m. or 8:30 in the morning.
Or is this
You might die.
is this the cyclists' kryptonite? Because the cyclists love to yell and scream at people. If you're in the if you have an accident,
I don't yell and scream.
one of your toes like steps into the bike lane and they come past and they're like, bike lane.
Yeah.
It's
game over.
that's the thing,
It's game
right?
over.
Like they're all quite angry, but how can they yell at an autonomous vehicle? Because no one's in the, it's just falling on, I wouldn't even say deaf ears, just no ears.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then also Patrick Ryan, founder of Odin, retweeted the Waymo announcement saying, hilarious that we are literally going to have self-driving cars in London before they manage to automate the tube. And he is right.
That is such a good take.
Patrick's stuff online is so funny. One, he's amazing.
Follow at ry_Paddy for good takes on London tubes.
Patrick Ryan, founder of Odin. We're seeing him tomorrow, actually. We should have him on the show next week. We should ask him.
For a very European coffee.
For a very European coffee. But he's also been dropping some trolling on LinkedIn, actually. And there was just one thing it just reminded me of that I'm going to have to find. It was around, that grind set, like the whole 996 grind set thing.
Yeah.
It banked. He got over 4,000 likes. He's just sort of his caption is like, lol, this comment, and he screenshotted it off X. But
3 words. That's probably why they're reducing the X payouts, because to create a YouTube video is like super, super hard, and the barrier to entry is very hard. We look at where we are now, right? To create a YouTube video, but to write 3 words and get 4,000 likes. And hundreds of thousands of impressions, if not not millions, but.
Well, he took it off X, but the tweet is I've just met a founder who told me she works 24 hours a day. I'm not joking. She's taught herself how to lucid dream so she can solve important work problems in her sleep. It's working though. She recently raised tens of millions of dollars and hired a few dozen people. San Francisco is known for 996, but in New York, we're 24/7, winky face. And then this guy just replies, do you people ever shut the F up? So we are a PG stream, we will not be swearing. That's from Erect Shin. Paddy put this on LinkedIn, lol this comment, and he's generated.
God, I wish I did that. I should have just screenshotted
4,000.
the X and
Dude, this is good.
put a few words down.
Good growth hack, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome growth hack.
We should get Paddy as a growth intern at ETN.
We should ask him. Yeah, growth butler.
Yeah,
We do need a growth butler. Actually.
We need a growth butler.
So
if anyone wants to join the ETN team, then shout us out. DM us.
Looking for new butlers.
DMs. We're looking for new butlers. I want to jump into the Oura 11 billion valuation, raised over 900 million, Series E, led by Fidelity. New backers include Iconic, Whale and Atreides. Funds are earmarked for AI, product and global expansion.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Yeah, well, Sifted did a cool piece on this as well.
They're Finnish as well, which is cool.
Kai Nickel Schwartz says the smart ring maker Oura has hit an 11 billion valuation after raising 900 million in fresh funds, as the Finnish scale-up continues to ramp up revenue growth. The Series E was led by Fidelity Management and research company with participation from new investor Iconic, Whale and Atreides. The raise sees Oura, which makes wearables that allow users to track their biometric data, become one of Europe's highest valued startups, doubling the 5.2 billion valuation it hit after picking up 200 million across 2 rounds less than a year ago. Yeah, I was about to say that wasn't actually that long ago. But with Oura, like, I have a Whoop.
Yeah.
You have like a Garmin, I think. Do you have a Garmin or no?
I have a Coros. Shout out to Coros.
What the hell is a Coros?
It's just a better Garmin.
They need some growth butlers at Coros because I've never heard of Coros. But this is obviously a thing, right? People, in this sort of range of 20, maybe even younger now, like 21 to maybe like 35-ish, I'd probably say is their highest density of like ICP. They are a lot more health conscious, right? Like it kind of became cool to not drink again. Like if you went into a pub 10 years ago, they wouldn't have like any selection of non-alcoholic beers, but if you go in now, they probably have like, I don't know, 10. Like people are competing for space on the non-alcoholic shelves as much as they are on the alcoholic shelves. And like, I think over the past few years, you can kind of feel that shift in London, especially. Like if you look at like how many people are doing half marathons, like I remember a while back, me and a friend were looking at this data, and like the exponential like sort of increase on this stuff is insane. Like, and I think that comes from this whole health conscious narrative. And I think that like these wearables have played like a massive part in that because they've essentially gamified it, right? Like I used to love, like I'm in a Whoop chat.
They've gamified sleep, right?
Yeah. Like I'm in a Whoop chat with Peter Wong, one of the founders of Throxy, and I think maybe Dan Jones is in there as well. But like it's quite fun to kind of compete on the metrics, who worked out the most, or who like got the best sleep, or like it does make it quite fun. Yeah. And also like there's a level of accountability there as well.
But it's also raising, so obviously they've just raised over 900 million, right?
I'm going to open these, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine, go for it. They've just raised over 900 million. Business Wire said the bet was to move from just sleep tracking, which is kind of what they're like focusing on right now, to kind of like AI-driven proactive health with recurring subscription. So like they've obviously got the stickiness with the subscription model. I think it's $4.99 per month. GBP, they're obviously increasing their they're bettering their tech to make sure that they are kind of staying ahead of Apple are releasing things where you can do like an ECG on your Apple Watch, right?
Oh really?
So they're moving into like very kind of top end spec, like tech spec stuff, and so. Props to them. They've raised 900 million, which is like an unbelievable amount of money.
Insane amount of cash.
They've sold over 500. I think it's 5.5 million, maybe something like that. 5.5 million rings 5. Sold. They've done over 500 million in revenue, and they say that they're going to do about $1 billion in revenue this year. So absolutely killing it. Kudos to Oura. We'll have to get one of the founders on possibly, or somebody who works in the team. That'd be pretty cool.
What's cool on the subscription model thing? So I remember ages ago when...
It's so clever, right?
Like
Whoop, same thing, right?
But Whoop, actually, initially they did, I'm pretty sure they did, you just buy the watch, like straight up. So like the barrier to entry is quite high to get in because the price is quite high because you pay for the full things. Like you're not sort of spanning it over a year.
Yeah.
And I think they nearly went bankrupt.
Who was this, sorry?
This is Whoop.
Okay.
And then they switched to the subscription model where it's like, hey, we'll send you the watch for free once you buy, once you sign up to the subscription. I think it's like £25 or maybe £30 a month at the moment. I think that's gone up since what it used to be, but they didn't. They must have changed some other things as well, but like just changing that just sort of like ignited the whole thing. And it makes sense, right? Like you reduce the barrier to entry. More people can come in and like enjoy it and fall in love with it, tell their friends about it. Like your customers are doing the marketing for you.
Yeah, for sure. But they're just reducing the monetary barrier to entry, right? So it's like if I'm a grad earning 35k a year GBP, I could probably afford like £100 watch or £100 Oura ring or whatever. I think the Oura ring is actually like 500 quid, but.
Is it 500 quid? I've never had one. I've not like.
But then £5 a month is like so doable, right? So
wait, you pay £500.
So you pay 500. I think 500. Don't quote me, but £500. Maybe have a look, and then £5 every month.
Yeah. There's an upfront. Yeah, sorry, it's
329.
So that's like 400, close to $500.
Yeah. And then $5.99 per month. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And there's been a few takes on X as well. David Pantera said, "I'm seeing these everywhere nowadays, especially in the 25 to 35-year-old range. 99% of the value of your Apple Watch, and now you can wear regular watches again," which is interesting because they have this differentiation, obviously, with the ring element. That means
it's not taking up wrist space.
Well, that's the thing. Whoop, which I think is such a clever marketing play that obviously it's so easy to see your wrists. When you're doing anything, to be honest, playing sport, whatever.
But it's prime real estate, the wrist.
Prime real estate.
Like the wrist market is already taken.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite interesting because
that's probably why they sold 5.5 million Oura rings.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You only have 2 locations where you can put a watch on, right? But you've got 10 fingers, which is interesting. I wonder if they do different. Yeah, they will do different sizes and stuff. But I like that. I like that tweet. Right, let's bring back a nice, good old-fashioned watch. It's hard for me to wear a watch that I now wear and a Whoop because it just looks weird to have 2 things on your wrists. Mm-hmm. That's just an odd thing. But I guess a ring you can probably wear as many rings as you want. Yes, maybe weird.
Yeah, you can wear. Yeah. But what I'm saying is this boom in AI and health. They're capitalizing on both. And they're also just completely differentiated from anyone else in the market, which is super clever. Their marketing's beautiful, their branding's unbelievable, and they're based in tiny Finland, which is cool.
Very cool.
Quoted by Ollie Forsyth. Thank you very much, Ollie. We'll have you on the show soon.
Cool
yes,
guy. Ollie.
Cool guy.
Great guy.
Should we move on to another story? We've got 5 minutes until we get Matt on from Jack and Jill.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the AI browser. Strawberry raises $6 million from General Catalyst and Lovable founder. Strawberry is building an an agentic browser that lets users automate tasks. What's your take?
So
based in Stockholm, by the way, which is obviously Stockholm is booming. Right?
So I know
we need to get to Sweden.
I know, we need to get there really quickly. But I know, so the founder of Strawberry is super close with the Lovable team and the Operators and Friends guys as well. I think Operators and Friends guys, I'm not sure if they got in the round or not. I think I saw Johanna do a tweet the other day saying that he was like, I ate strawberries with the founder and he still didn't let me in, as a joke or whatever.
But didn't Elias say that they were in the same WeWork in Stockholm?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Elias, founder of Effie Minds, we had him on the show number 1. He said that they're in the same office and the vibes in Stockholm are
little
good
cracked
right now.
little WeWork. I actually reached out to Charles to see if he can come on the show, but I'm sure he's busy dealing with.
I'm sure he's pretty busy
dealing with.
But their product is self-driving browser. Users teach companions tasks. Agents act inside real sites, which is not a separate app. Aiming for non-coders to automate work. So it's kind of it's playing in that lovable space where anyone can build anything. Which is interesting. We've got the Cursors and the Vercels of the world where more kind of technical people are able to build more kind of technical things compared to non-technical people. Yeah. But Lovable, Strawberry allow non-technical people to kind of get involved.
So it's in the same. It's like browser-based agents.
Yeah.
So what we were building at Convergence, and I'd be very interested to hear because it's in a browser. So it's it's great that so reading off this, Strawberry is building an agentic browser that lets users automate tasks like sorting emails, copying meeting notes into CRMs, and sourcing leads. Now the problem with this is that what we ran into is that one, how often are you doing all of this in the browser, right? Usually you're in some sort of native app to do this stuff. If I'm in the CRM, I'm either maybe I'm in Attio or I'm in Salesforce or whatever. If I'm in sorting my emails out, maybe I've got Fixer AI in there kind of helping out, or maybe if I'm just taking notes, whatever, or organizing stuff, I'm in Notion. So the problem that we found with this was that yes, it's great that you can maybe work in a way where you can log into a browser and you can get on these apps, and then the companion tool can help out quite a lot. Mm-hmm. But how often are you going into these apps through the browser, right? How often are you logging into Notion via the browser? You're probably just using the app. So that was always quite a hard thing for us to deal with.
Quite a hard transition. You would think that the barrier to entry is pretty low, considering you don't have to download a kind of a desktop app. But then again, maybe you feel like you can focus more in an app There's less kind of going on the browser.
Which I'm already in the app, right? So it's like for me then to change my whole workflow of every single app where like I'm now going to go through the browser. It's just like that's a hard thing for any consumer to deal with.
It's
like,
different.
Don't like change. But what is another thing that's quite challenging is that when you look at what they're specializing in, right? Just reading off the article, it's like automate tasks like sorting emails. I just mentioned Fixer AI, right? Or copying meeting notes into CRMs like Granola. So like, again, this is a problem that we encountered where like it's a horizontal based product. So you're competing in like, you know, every single vertical at once. And in these verticals, like let's say the note taking app vertical, there's a dominant player, Granola. In this sort of sorting emails vertical, there's a dominant player, Fixer AI. So it's like you're competing with all of these people like across, you know, if you've got all these verticals, like you're in every single one, like, but these guys are only focusing on this and they're only focusing on this and this. So it's like, how do you compete with the guys where they spend 100% of their time on like 1% of what you cover, if that makes sense. So it's like the delta between the best and like the horizontal agent, there's always like a tricky, I mean, over time I feel that like you kind of have to start consolidating downwards and like find your niche and just stick to it. So I mean, I'd be interested to see how they develop it out.
GC, EQT Ventures, they're backing them $6 million. So I mean, they're doing pretty well. Founders at Lovable, right. Hugging Face, Superbase have all come into the round as well. So I think they're pretty bullish. So it'll be interesting to see.
No, I think it's a great thing.
Before we have our first guest on. Let's just shout out to our sponsors. CPoint, get back control of your finances with CPoint, your startup's financial home. CPoint is a business account that handles invoices, invoice payment, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Unbelievable sponsor. Shout out to them. We would do an ad read for Jack and Jill, but we're literally about to have the founders on. So
well, maybe the founders can do an ad read for Jack and Jill.
We'll get them to pitch.
Are we good to go?
I think we are good to go.
Guys, welcome to the European Technology Network. How are we?
Very good, very good.
Good, congratulations on your 20 million.
Let's just give a quick round of applause.
Well done. How do you feel?
Yeah, feeling good.
Good.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're on air right now, I think. Oh wait, are we on air?
Yes,
yeah, we're on air.
We're on air. There's a countdown, but just forget about it.
Great. No, all good over here. We're having a lot of fun. We're building something super exciting, and it's always good to get some fuel in the tank. So I'm really excited to partner up with Creandum, and lots and lots of exciting stuff to come.
Good stuff. And how's it been partnering with Creandum? Has it been a good journey so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's early days, but I think they're brilliant. I think they're a brilliant fund. They were our target fund, I think, as a European kind of rooted company with global ambitions. They are kind of the best early stage fund in Europe at the moment, and we've been super impressed with the professionalism of the team, with how diligent they've been, with how supportive they've been in the early days of the relationship, and really excited to partner with them going forwards.
Awesome
stuff. Well, I want to get. Well, can we before we dive into everything, can we get the Jack and Jill elevator pitch for the audience? Can we break down?
Considering
Jack
you're one of our sponsors.
And Jill, we were about to do an ad read, but maybe it's better if you guys do the ad read for us and just like tell the audience here, what is Jack, what is Jill, what is the whole premise of the whole thing?
Sure. Well, why don't I do Jack and then you can do Jill. I mean, fundamentally, we think that the way that people find work today is really broken. And the vast majority of people aren't in the best job that they could be in. And that's why we're building Jack and we're building Jill. So Jack is an AI agent that works with people to help them optimize their career. So how he does that is he gets to know people by reading their LinkedIn, reading their CV or their resume, but then also speaking to them. And he does a 20-minute onboarding briefing conversation where he really gets to know who you are, what you want out of your career, what you've done in your career so far, and how you want him to help. And from there, he's got this rich, nuanced understanding of who you are and what you're looking for. And then he gets to work in helping you make that a reality. And that could be through looking at all of the jobs that are posted online and finding the ones that are perfect fit as soon as they come online. So you can be seeing things. You don't have to be kind of going through and scrolling through job boards and scrolling through LinkedIn. Jack's doing the heavy lifting for you there. He can do that through helping with coaching, helping with interview prep, helping with negotiating an offer, being there as a partner throughout a job search process. And he can help with direct introductions to companies that Jill is working with. So over to Saras to talk about Jill.
Yeah, I mean, on the Jill side, Matt and I have both done a lot of hiring and kind of really felt the pain of hiring managers. Like, if you look at a lot of the best startups in the world these days, like a huge amount of their time is just spent on hiring good talent. It's like all these super talented people are spending like a third to half of their time just focusing on hiring new people. It's kind of crazy the amount of like brain time that's going into this problem. And what are they doing at the moment? At the moment, they're spending hours sending cold messages to people on LinkedIn that get like a 5% response rate. They're going on job platforms and using AI to screen out thousands of applications. Most of those applications, which are also being sent by AI on the other side, or they're using recruiters. And I think everyone's got certain experiences using recruiters, but some of the stuff we've heard is like people being candidates being sent to you, forced down your throat. They only work with a certain number of candidates. People just being after the fee, people being very salesy, and generally people not having a good experience with that side of things. And also, like a human recruiter can only speak to so many people. They only have a certain amount of time in the day. They can only have like maybe like 5-10 coffee chats a day on a good day. Jack, on the other hand, can have had 10,000 coffee chats in a day. He can have spoken to hundreds or thousands of candidates within the past hour about not just about what they're looking for in the immediate short term, but like their general career goals, like what they're looking for over the long period of time, how they think about their career, how they think about performing better in their current role. And that's really where Jill comes in. Jill is your kind of internal recruiter who's kind of who's through Jack, spoken to thousands and thousands of candidates over the past day, who has a deep insight into all these candidates, who knows what they're looking for, what they're prioritizing, what they're not prioritizing, and who knows you deeply as a company as well. So not just we're looking for 3 years of experience in this skill set or 8 years of experience in this skill set, but how does your team currently work? Who's on your team? What does good look like in your team? Who's performing well? Who's not performing well? Why? What characteristics and traits are you looking for in a new team member? And really digging into the trade-offs of your role, and then helping you refine that as well, being able to tell you, hey, if you increased your salary by 10%, you would open up your pool to this many more people. Or if you switch from 3 days working in person in the office to having a more flexible approach, then actually you would open your pool to these kind of candidates, and you would get 10% more candidates, and they would be of this higher quality. And being able to walk you through all these decisions and really be a partner for you. And really, ideally getting to the point in time where actually you're spending your time as a hiring manager on the really important things, on the things like talking to the candidates, on the getting to know them, and the really like deep layer of the funnel in terms of like being able to sell those candidates, being able to really understand if they're going to be a good fit for you, and kind of building up those relationships rather than scrolling LinkedIn and sending 1,000 cold outbound messages, or dealing with recruiters and having to say yes and no to all these candidates based on purely on a CV rather than the actual understanding of the candidate. So yeah, that's kind of the mission on the Jill side of things.
Nice. I say
Awesome.
a better ad read than we could ever do. So thanks, guys. I wanted to go back because you guys started as like an agency model, right? And then you kind of moved more into like B2B SaaS type kind of model. What was that transition, and why? And was it because the agency model wasn't kind of working like you wanted Jack and Jill to be? What was the story behind that?
Yeah, so we still work with the same commercial model as we launched with, which is a model that replicates the commercial model of working with a recruitment agency. So we charge a 10% fee on successful hire for the candidates that we place. There's nothing up front, and that's the same structure as you'd maybe work with a recruitment agency with, but about half the price or less than half the price that you'd be working with an agency, with much more friendly kind of commercial and legal terms as well. So we do still work with that agency model. And then on the candidate side with Jack, it's totally free to use.
Interesting. I mean, we're starting to hear this come up more often, right? Like, I think we had Paul Murphy on the other day talking about their investment in EpiMinds, and he was saying that there was an amazing quote basically like along the lines of, when we look at these AI tools, the reason that they passed on a few in a similar space to Epiminds, who are doing like a marketing AI type thing, is that like a lot of these people will say that we're here to sort of like clean out and flat just replace the whole agency model. We're going to rip out the whole thing, and it's just going to be AI only. Whereas what Paul was saying is the reason that they wanted to like make this strong bet on Epiminds is that like some of the agency stuff works really well. Let's have AI work like alongside that and just supercharge what we already know works essentially. And I think it's the same thing that Fixer AI did, right? Like they had like an agency model and then layered like Fixer AI over on top of it. Like, can you see like one, what do you think of Paul Murphy's statement and how he sort of phrases that whole thing with AI and this agency model collaborating? And two, like, can we see like AI just completely annihilate the agency model in the future, do you think? Or do you think it's always going to be this collaborative piece?
I think there's we think that the internal recruitment teams will be working with Jill instead of working with an agency. And there's a huge amount of human work and human judgment and human relationships that are needed in recruitment. And fundamentally, we think those relationships should be between a candidate and their potential future manager, or the recruitment team, the talent team at the company that they're going to go and work for. And those are the relationships that are really important, rather than those relationships with third-party recruitment agencies. And we think that AI enables Jill to talk to companies and really understand with the nuance that a great agency recruiter would be able to understand. Jack, likewise with candidates, but we're just able to have so much more volume, so many more roles that we're working with, so many more candidates that Jack is representing, that we're able to combine the nuance of understanding that a great agency recruiter would bring, but then with the scale that you'd get from a traditional software platform. And we think that is already today, and we hear this feedback from our customers, is outperforming the agencies that they're working with. I think there's the kind of more general point. I think it's so different across different industries. Like there are lots of services businesses that do a whole wide range of things, and we think in our space in particular, we think that we can go kind of toe to toe with the agency model and outperform them with the technology that we've built today, and certainly with the technology we're building over the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, the volume is actually massive. I think Jack's spoken to like over 50,000 candidates now. What's the like geographically? You've obviously you've got significant traction in London. What's the plan geographically to expand potentially like into the US? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, so we've got it started in London, and particularly our focus over the first few months of the company has been London tech startups and scale-ups, and that's where we've seen the majority of the growth with candidates, and also with our customer, the companies that we're working with Jill. But we've actually started over the last couple of months also building in parallel on both sides in San Francisco. And yeah, we think there's tremendous value to our customers in being global. If you think about how many people move for work and can move between London and New York, or between Paris and San Francisco, a big part of the reason why we think people don't do that more is that actually the traditional ways of finding a job are quite geographically constrained. If you talk to if you've got a few recruiters that you work with, they're typically only representing roles in the region that you're in already. If you think about your existing network, it tends to overlap strongly with the region that we're in. If by taking Jack and Jill global, we're able to open up this kind of global pool of opportunities for people to look at, and they can be considered not just for roles in their existing city and their existing network, but all of the roles everywhere in the world, and vice versa for companies. They're not just looking at the talent that's available in the networks of the people they know, in the networks of the recruiters in their city, but also globally. And we actually see already like a ton of value and a ton of interest from companies in candidates that are overseas, and candidates in companies that are overseas. I think that's particularly true in the kind of tech industry. There's just a lot of geographic mobility and a lot of kind of international mindedness amongst both candidates and companies.
Nice, really cool. And I guess the US, like, how interesting is the US for you guys? Because I think that, I mean, in terms of the speed at which companies can move on hires, and also like bring new people into the firm, or also like take people out of the firm, which again also like when they leave, they're joining a new company, right? Like the turnover can be quite quicker, I think, than European cities in terms of like notice periods. I'm not sure, I don't know the specifics of it, but that must be like a really interesting area for you guys, right? Because like, isn't the frequency of movement is a lot higher?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's for us, we get paid when somebody gets hired. So having to wait for a notice period to wrap up, or having people that are taking longer is obviously better for us if people can move quickly. Salaries tend to be a bit higher in the US as well, so a percentage fee ends up being more lucrative. But I think fundamentally the problem's the same, and those are kind of minor points around the edge. How you help people find brilliant opportunities, and how you help companies find brilliant people, whether there's a little bit more weighting or the economics are a bit different, it's fundamentally the same problem. And the model is already, you can see it in the data, is actually very, very similar in terms of the customer behavior on both the candidate and the company side in terms of what we see with our existing customers.
Nice. I wanted to ask a question. So 20 million seed round, what's the plan in terms of like deployment of capital? Obviously, like you were talking about the amount of, or like the volume of kind of candidates coming through the agent. What's the plan when volume is so high? Are you giving, in terms of workflow, are you giving these employers more like options in terms of who to hire, and is that their decision in that position? I guess that's two questions, but
yeah, maybe just to answer the first point, we're building a complicated business because we're really building two companies. We're building a consumer company with Jack, so we've got to build a world-class consumer product with a world-class consumer go-to-market engine behind that, and we're building a B2B product with Jill, and we've got to build a world-class B2B product and a world-class B2B go-to-market engine there as well. So that adds complexity, and we've got to invest in the products and the engineering and the go-to-market and distribution of two kind of sub-businesses. On top of that, as we talked about, we're working across multiple markets and doing that very early on in our life cycle. So that obviously takes investment, particularly going into new markets and getting them set up. That's you can kind of guess where we're going to be deploying the capital on those fronts in terms of building out the team, investing in R&D, building these two world-class products, and then distributing them across multiple markets.
So it's becoming clear how well it must be going on your end, because like I'm just thinking now, you approach the investors and it's not like, hey guys, we're just going to do consumer AI, or like, hey guys, we're just going to do like B2B. Like we're going to do all of it at the same time and make things like, just make it like as hard as possible. But like it's clearly going insanely well if they're taking that bet on you. Like
a doubly good founder.
How did the raise process, the conversations, like how did that go? Because like those are two really hard things to do on their own, right? Like not to do them both at the same time. Like that's nuts.
Really hard. It's really hard, and that's it's not a decision that we took lightly. I mean, we've both been founders previously and know how hard it is building one company, never mind kind of two in parallel. And it's taken a lot of hours, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And as we think about building out the company, thinking about the right way to do that with these two different audiences and two different products to build for. But fundamentally, we think it's the right thing to do. We could build just one of those products, and we could build that as a good business. But actually, we think the real magic that comes from this product is when you've got both. So when, yes, you can talk to Jack and you can work with Jack, but Jill on the other side of it has had conversations with 50, 100 companies that you could go and work at, and is then assessing you for those, and making a direct introduction. So it's not just how can we help you in your career, it's how can we make direct introductions that are mutually beneficial to both sides, where there's this perfect two-way fit. And that's ultimately what recruitment's about. It's about finding those two-way fits, and you can't do that if you just focus on one side of things. So for us, it's foundational to building the best product is building both, because they both feed each other. When it came to the fundraise, I think it was we've gone out to raise having built both products, having got great feedback from the market on both products, and There's a hell of a lot of work still to do and lots still to ship on both sides. But it was clear that we've built the initial products. You can see the product market fit on both sides. But then also in terms of the team that we've built, one of our first hires was. So Sarah and I both built B2B companies before. We built 3 B2B businesses between us, but we kind of immediately realized we needed to find somebody with very strong consumer marketing experience. So we hired Frankie Athill, who was the former CMO at Fixer, who you referenced, and has been CMO at a bunch of fantastic consumer brands. So I think it's about showing how do you build the breadth of skills so you're able to do this really difficult thing operationally of building these 2 companies inside of one.
Awesome.
Yeah, world class. And there's one thing, just I spoke to Frankie previously when we were having a chat about Slush actually coming out that we're going to be at, and you mentioned there was something that you guys were maybe planning to roll out. It's a fun thing. I'm not sure if it's public yet, so I'm not sure if we can talk about it live.
I don't think it is public yet.
Okay, I'll shut my mouth. I won't say any more.
I think we're out of time anyway, so that's a good time to end. But no, thank you so much for coming on, and we're excited to see the journey and definitely come back on in the future. We'll be excited.
I think we're coming to your offices next week actually, so we'll see you there.
Oh, yeah, we'll give you some caps.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Good stuff.
See you guys.
Almost something.
Doubly good founders is.
Well, that's right. Like, to think that they're doing both at the same time is super hard. Because that was everyone when, again, I keep referencing convergence, but it's consumer AI, so there are parallels there. But like when we started, I think we were doing both B2B and B2C, and the advice we got was like, look, like just pick one. Like this is going to be really, really hard to do both, and it was true. It was genuinely. A really like incredibly hard task because it's like you kind of need traction from one or the other first to get going on the other one, and then it's like, well, it's chicken and the egg. Like, where do we focus on consumer and try and like train the model a little bit better off consumer data and then like bring that into like a B2B world, or do we like try and sign some like big LOIs on the promise that we will deliver and then go to the consumer market like, look, these are all the great companies that are working with us. Obviously there's validation there, and you roll it out, but it was we ended up just like, I think we were like, let's go B2B, and then that was really hard. So we were like, okay, let's go B2C, and we focused on doing B2C, and the B2C was going quite well.
But it's like kind of obvious though, really, isn't it? Like, what they were saying with being 2 sides of the market and having an insight into both means you're going to be better placed to win at both.
Yeah.
And all of these people that, are only focusing on one side of the market, one half of the market, which is basically everyone, right? Where... It's already at a disadvantage compared to Jack and Jill, who obviously have the insight in the team, like ingrained into the startup from kind of day one.
But I think that just shows like how good their product is and how good the team is and how good they are executing.
I'm super bullish on them. They're cool. Yeah.
99 times out of 100, doing both of those things at once, you fail.
Yeah.
So it's like it's an advantage if you can do it.
And they built 3 B2B companies before. They've obviously got an unbelievable CMO that we know, Frankie. Props to them. I think they're going to do really well. Just to jump in on a story before we have our second guest on, I wanted to touch on Stockholm's top entrepreneurs join the defence race. This is on Sifted. This came out yesterday. Sweden's leading startup founders, including the heads of Klarna, Cry, Voi, and Spotify, are rallying around the defense tech as the region looks to bolster its security and tap into growing investor appetite for startups working on defense applications. Dude, we have to get into defense.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming next week.
We do have some cool stuff. There'll be something on the shelves as well. But it was what I was saying a few days ago. Startups in the sector have already picked up $3.5 billion in funding so far this year. It's nearly double the 1.8 billion raised across the whole of 2024. And you can see that all these players, Daniel X joining in, he is famously
got a bit of
going
stick for that, actually, I'm pretty sure.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, he did get a bit of stick for it, for stepping into that world, which I don't really necessarily agree with, to be honest. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a really great thing that they're getting together and they're doing this and they're funding this stuff. But I think that what a lot of the debate out there at the moment is that, like, what happens to these I think there was a similar thing, and we spoke to James Wires about this a while back on the old show, where, VCs will flood into this market because it is in demand. And like Dan from Superseed said some really great stuff on this as well when we had him on.
Yeah, we'll have him back on. He was good.
Yeah, we need to get him back on. But like it's in demand, so the money flows in. Similar with like AI, right? Like it's the new thing to invest in. So naturally, there would be a few things that maybe get misfunded that aren't necessarily like the great things. Like a lot of AI companies, getting a lot of funding, and some of them might not be like as good. It's just like the hype thing to do. So naturally, there will be some missed bets within that, or maybe some misplaced like resources, misallocated resources. And people were saying that like, well, what happens when there's like peace with like Ukraine and Russia? Like a lot of these startups that are getting funding are like positioned around the fact that war is like going on right now. So what happens when that war ends? What happens to the revenue models of these defense startups? But I think like there's a really
I think you saw from the move from JP Morgan investing $1.5 trillion into all of these kind of sectors, most of which were like US industrials defense, and what their take was essentially just if you have centered US futuristic tech, it's essentially like if they're at the top of the game in the US and their US tech is at the top of the game, you're going to be one of the most powerful countries in the world, right? And so I think what's interesting is and what Dan from Superseed was saying was defense, was a little bit taboo, and now is becoming a little bit more kind of sexy to invest in, and it's less about defense. Defense was more seen as like an attack type thing. Like if you're investing in defense, you're investing in, I guess, killing people. Right? But
well, not necessarily, but like obviously it has like
it was that taboo, right? And so like now
that was the framing of why it would be taboo.
And that's why defense is now having this kind of shift where it's seen more as is backing.
It's part of the country, right? It's like defense optimism. It's pro nationalism. It's pro it's pro like where you are from. But there's like the argument that like what happens when like the war ends, right? Are you then essentially long war if you're making these bets? I think is interesting, but maybe not 100% true. Like if you look at like the budgets that's getting set aside to spend on this by like countries right now, like that's probably not going to go away. It's probably like more of a wake up call to the point where like we should be spending, a large amount, or not a large amount, but like an appropriate amount of one's country's GDP to invest in these things, because they are necessary to have, right? Because you can see it, like, we probably should have some more.
Well, we have the most amount of drone startups in the world, right? Europe.
Europe
generally, and Daniel Ek invests in Helsing, one of the largest defense tech startup. I think it is the largest defense tech startup in maybe not the world, but Europe for sure. Yeah. It's the fastest growing, and so the fact that all these massive players in Europe are investing directly into the growth of European industrials is really exciting.
I think it's a great thing.
So good on them. I think we have Dom Hallis at Startup Coalition coming on in a few minutes.
Before he jumps on, maybe we just get a couple. I want to talk about Oura, the flexible office space that everyone knows and loves. It's where Luke eats his gummy bears. It's where I get my flat whites. It's where we anytime we're in London, anytime we have a meeting, we just check our map and we go into a Oura. They've got private offices, whole floors, dedicated desks. Oura offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes, 60 locations across London and Germany as well. Great place to just get some work done, Great place to watch the show that you watch at work, the European Technology Network. Mm-hmm. Dom Hallis coming up next. He's going to be talking, one about Startup Coalition, which is great, but two, I think I'd love, to be honest, just get an expert understanding of like the UK, its position right now in terms of the tech ecosystem. Jensen Huang's visit a few weeks ago, right? There was kind of like I saw a clip where, when he's on the stage and there's like a room full of like some really important people, I think Victor from Synthesia was there maybe, and like a lot of these like frontier AI startups, like basically just the best like tech founders across Europe. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of like, where's like XYZ? There you are, like you get funding, like where's XYZ? Like there you are, like your company's amazing, like you get funding. And it was like people were commenting saying that it was quite like, like that Oprah Winfrey meme. where she's like, you gonna, it's kind of like that. It's quite funny. But I want to know what's going, because I've seen like tidbits online and stuff, and like I know like from seeing on LinkedIn and maybe reading a couple of articles and stuff, but like I want to know what's actually going on. Like, where are we on the world stage right now? Like, where are we? Are we looked at as someone who's doing like a really good job? Are we not? And like, how's our government as well? Like looking at the whole landscape. Like, are we moving forward? I feel like we kind of are. I feel like there's been a bit of a shift. We talk about it quite a lot. I think that's probably
why we're having Dom Hallis on. I think he's probably one of the best placed man to talk about this stuff. So he's going to let us know. We'll definitely grill him on stuff like that. I think he should be coming in soon.
Yeah, can we check with the producer
coming in?
There was also a comment about our LinkedIn announcement with Dom. Jack Needham was like, "Look at the aura coming off the announcement photo," right? Because Dom's just looking like a beast. But I think we've got him in the studio.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. How you doing?
Yes, very good. Very nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming on. What's going on? What's new in your world? What's happening? Just give us a breakdown of who you are.
Right now I'm in rural Wisconsin in the United States. So I feel like I'm like sort of fraud on the European technology.
No. We're pro growth, Dom. We don't
nowhere in Wisconsin on a holiday, but it's super early here, so it's like 6 a.m.
Look, well, we appreciate it.
6 a.m. 996. About like 666, right? And that's what could possibly.
Well, talk us through Wisconsin. What's going on there? What have you been up to? Anything fun?
So me and my mates come and do. Joe, this is shamelessly European, so it's fine. Me and my mates come and do a holiday every year where we come watch some American sports. And so we're over at the moment watching some American football, which is lots of fun. I would recommend it, and it's a great place to come watch American football. Not a great place to do like lots else, to be totally honest. But yeah, whatever. It's good fun. So thanks for having us, guys.
Really cool. Very cool. Tom, there's a few things that we want to talk about. We were just saying then, like, we need an expert on to tell us what's going on with the UK tech scene from like a government and policy layer. I'd love to start, if you can, with a few weeks back, Jensen Huang's visit to the UK. What happened there? I see stuff about he's making investments now in a few certain AI companies and a few sort of like chip and GPU and AI infra related stuff. But could you maybe give us a breakdown of what the current state is and what the future could look like?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was. I don't know whether you guys were at the event. Did you guys get the nod for the big Jensen?
Not yet. Not yet.
We hadn't launched it. I don't think.
We were busy. We couldn't make it. We were super busy.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Got something else to do. But no, it was absolutely wild, right? So Jensen's doing his like little bit, like he's Oprah. He's shouting out companies, and so he's like, "Is Victor from Synthesia here?" And Victor's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "You're getting like NVIDIA."
Oprah's been mentioned twice now.
Really cool.
Yeah, honestly, it was legitimately hilarious. And he had the Prime Minister with him, right, which is really great. And the Prime Minister's there getting his signed Jensen, signed Jensen NVIDIA stuff, and like everyone else. But no, look, I mean, I think the underlying thing that's really important, and there was a huge sort of bumper set of announcements that week when Trump was over, is a lot of commitment from these big American players to AI infrastructure, especially in the UK. I mean, but obviously the underlying question, like a lot of the sort of conversations around the AI infrastructure investments from those companies right now, is like how much of this money is real money? Yeah. So it's like actually, every time the billions number go up, the question remains like, at how many of those billions will we actually see? But look, I think it's super helpful, and it reflects clearly, and that's what Jensen was saying, and I think that this is what everyone else has been saying over the past sort of few months, that this growing trust and belief that there are amazing companies here who can build amazing things using the infrastructure that these Americans are providing. So that's the theory. I mean, we'll see whether it plays out that way in practice, I guess.
I want to ask about the a lot of things in tech, not everything obviously, is kind of smoke and mirrors. The fact that the argument whether it is real money or it isn't, even just the what it looks like from the outside, someone as influential as Jensen Huang coming over and kind of giving this money to companies being built in Europe, is that actually is that a problem? The fact that it even is real money or not? I mean, obviously, like we want funding in the companies, right? But like, how bad is that of a problem?
Yeah, look, I've always seen this as pros and cons, right? Like the truth is, like, are we going to build our own NVIDIA in the UK? Well, probably not. Like, partially because it's just that there's an existing position in the chip stack that NVIDIA has, and the reality is they're a $4 trillion company, depending on, we'll check the stock market this morning or whatever. This sort of huge scale these companies have. I think the question is sort of two. Like, one is, where is the UK and Europe more generally then going to build our position of leverage in the AI stack overall? What does that mean? And I think, that's whether that's in the app layer and some of the amazing companies that you guys have already had on, or further down in the foundational research, or wherever is appropriate in different kind of parts of Europe. So, the Dutch have their answer in ASML, right? Like, amazing business that sort of plays a really key role in that story. So there's that question. And then there's almost a separate question, which is like, how do we think about what it means to have foreign infrastructure as part of the story that we need? And how do we sort of prepare for that? And then how do we kind of think about what the future is in a way that is like, what is the next version of chips beyond NVIDIA? And like, can we be investing and trying to sort of get first in the door and some of that stuff? And actually, the UK has done a really good job of this. If you look at the work that Aria is doing, which is a government funding agency for sort of the moonshot research, basically, that Matt Clifford chairs and is really well run, they're trying to take bets on some of those kind of big, punchy, long-term questions, and they might not work out. In fact, that's the whole point, is a lot of them won't work out. It's sort of like venture government funding, for want of a better description. But if some of them work out, then we might win really big, right? And I think that's the sort of underlying theory, I think. But yeah, look, I mean, on the one hand, like, is it the best thing in the world to be consistently reliant on companies that are building stuff elsewhere? No. On the other hand, Britain's and Europe in general is sort of a outward-looking trading nations, and the reality is, like, that's what you're going to be in that kind of world, right?
That's fascinating. It kind of leads me on to my next point, right? I think, what are your thoughts on the fact that, like, I think the UK and France is mirroring what's happening in the US quite well in terms of, like, I remember when Trump invited, it's like a who's who of star-studded cast, right? I think it was Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, like everyone who owned like a certain percentage of the NASDAQ was basically sat around his table. And the relationship seemed quite close. I think Tim Cook pledged like 200 billion or something from Apple or from their fund or whatever when they were there. And I think that if you look at, in the UK, we have the AI dinners at 10 Downing Street, and that's just like a good position for entrepreneurs and people on the political level, the government level, to get closer connected and work out like what the future looks like. And same thing in France, like with Macron, he works very closely with a lot of the tech startups in there. Is that like the future of growth for most of these European cities, to kind of like replicate what Trump's doing in terms of like he's building very, very strong partnerships between like the top sort of 5 or 6 performing companies in the country? Like, does the political side and the government side need to get closer to the tech ecosystem in these European countries in order to maybe push a bit more growth?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I mean, I think, like I said, I think every country is different in this regard, but like, one thing I would say is an overall trend is you're seeing a kind of more active industrial policy in different parts of the world. And, the US is buying a stake in Intel, right? Like, and you have this extraordinary sort of situation where increasingly in an AI age, you're seeing more and more governments getting directly involved in policy. And, the obvious example of this is China, where you have a very active state. You don't have a company without the state over there in reality. And what they've done is they've taken a million bets on, loads of different, if you take, for example, EV manufacturing, there's been like thousands of EV manufacturers, and they've run this sort of really intense state-run, fundamentally competitive environment. And then some have won, and that's how it goes. Now, the truth is that that's not necessarily, that might work for China. And then the US version, which is you have these incredible tech companies, which they are extraordinary. And then you almost have to kind of pledge yourself to Trump every time you go in and say how much you're going to give him or whatever, is not necessarily going to work in Europe. And I think that's the interesting question is, what is the version that works for us, right? And why won't it work in Europe? One, because industrial policy requires like a shit ton of capital, right? And like, if you look at the front page of the papers, France is the problem child at the moment, and their government can't get their shit together. In the UK, we have this sort of underlying challenge as well in the fiscal environment. So you can't throw money hand over fist at these problems from government like you might want to if that was, the sort of American style. And nor, to the point of the question you asked before, are we going to have a plan for the AI age that is like, we're going to have a dominant player in every part of the stack, right? So actually, it's much more where do we have leverage in the stack? Where do we have opportunity in the stack? And how can you double down on those places, not just through government support, but kind of creating a policy environment that works for that? And so, yeah, it's sort of a slightly more nuanced one than you can't copy the US and China, basically. Like, that's not gonna work for us. So what will work? And I think that's still a relatively open question, actually. And I think it will differ country to country.
Yeah. Interesting. The culture over here in Europe, obviously people are saying, it's kind of pretty fragmented, but these kind of massive players coming in.
Luke, I think I've lost your audio, pal. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you not hear me?
Oh. Can you hear me? No?
We've lost audio.
There you go.
Good? Okay, sorry, we're back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What was my question? So these massive players coming over and kind of giving money to Europe. People say Europe is famously fragmented, and it's a fragmented market. What do you see in the kind of arguments about a pan-European state, I guess, and how that would help with where we are and kind of, I guess, differentiating between the global superpowers, the US and China essentially?
Yeah, so I know you had Andreas on the other week, and what those guys are doing with EU Inc. is really important, right? As in, the truth is actually the ability to build single entities that can scale across Europe really matters. There's a reason why, if you're a British tech company for the most part, you're starting and trying to build product and tech in the UK, and then usually you're doing sales and go to market in the United States. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, a significant portion of that is because it's slightly easier to do so than it is in different parts of Europe. Now, there are some things that are natural to that, right? The English language and kind of common business culture and all that sort of stuff. But some of them don't have to be the case, and actually we can kind of functionally harmonize some of those regulations. Now, are you going to have one kind of European megastate or whatever? No, partially just because have you met Europeans? We're
all on holiday. We don't have time for you.
It's not that feasible, right? It's just never going to be the case. But can we make it easier for businesses to do business across borders? 100%, right? Absolutely 100%. So I think that's clearly got to be a core part of it. That in kind of EU parlance, this is called the digital single market. And the digital single market has never been completed, and so there's more and more to do there. There's loads to do on capital markets. So the truth is, actually, we can do a much better job of understanding, how to build kind of common plans on capital markets that would make things much easier for entrepreneurs. So yeah, there's tons to be done. It's just extremely hard and extremely slow to do it. And I think what's been really good in my time doing this job in the past 8 years is that's finally moving further and further up the agenda as people realize this is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, well, let's touch on your job and what you're doing at Startup Coalition. Can you give us a flavour and the people watching what a day-to-day looks like and kind of what the goal is for I guess 2026 looking forward?
Yeah, definitely. So for the folks that don't know, so Startup Coalition is a lobby group in the UK. So we spend all our time talking to politicians about policy, this kind of stuff we've just been chatting about, but also kind of more bread and butter issues day in, day out of random government schemes that work or don't work or whatever in the UK. And then, I think in terms of what the priorities are, the main thing is budget in the UK in about a month and a half. That's going to be absolutely huge for entrepreneurs. The last budget was pretty tricky, I think it's fair to say. Taxes went up quite significantly on founders and on businesses. So there's going to be a lot of questions to do with that. Some kind of, I always think of it as offensive and defensive stuff. So there's on the offensive side, there's some really, really good things that we've got a decent chance of improving. So in the past few days, there's been a lot of coverage of stock options reform in the UK, trying to make it more beneficial to founders. So that'll be really big if we can get that over the line. On the defensive side, a lot of stuff on broader kind of fiscal environment where the government's struggling is going to have to raise some more tax revenue. Where are they going to raise that from? Hopefully not from us. It's the basic answer. And so we're doing quite a lot of work on that. So yeah, that's the kind of first priority. And then there's a whole wider set of issues. We kind of sit both on the kind of cross-cutting technology stuff, so the things that impact all entrepreneurs, but also individual verticals of technology economy, so fintech, climate, health, education, all sorts of stuff. So you kind of have the wide set of issues, and things like AI policy is increasingly impacting all these businesses, right? And there's going to be a lot of conversations on that front in the UK over the past sort of the next weeks and months. But also we have all these little niche areas that there's lots going on, right? So yesterday there was a big review out from the payment systems regulator on the state of interchange fee reform, which is a really big thing if you're in the payments world, right? And it's not it's not a big thing for everyone, but it really matters for those guys. And so I think like kind of consistently tracking 1,000,001 things that various parts of the British government do is what we do.
We'll have to get you back on/after the budget. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
I presume you're going to be very busy, but
Yeah, no, I mean, like we'll be happy to. Like I said, it's like it'll be because you guys do Tuesday, Thursday, right?
Yeah,
it's like, so it's fine.
who knows? In a month and a half, we might be doing more. But
That's the plan.
Yeah,
anyway.
so you know, I'll more than happily come and chat about it. I'll either be cheerful or miserable. That's the joy of it. So.
But you won't be in the US. You'll be in the UK. So it'll be a normal time.
Yeah,
of,
and we'll be
time of
6
day.
a.m. as well. We've woken you up too early.
Yeah, we could get you actually in the studio. That'd be quite cool.
That'd be fun. There was something I wanted to go back to that you mentioned that seems relevant to discuss because there were a lot of headlines around it, but like the founder of Revolut and this positioning around Dubai, right? And this massive tax bill that you'd be saving. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've spoken to a few people and everyone has pretty differing ideas, whether it's like, like he came to the UK, like he should be sort of sticking by what the country's helped him to achieve in terms of Revolut and the amazing success. But on the other hand, it's like, well, he's a brilliant entrepreneur. It's in the billions. He's built an empire. Rightly so. Should he hold on to the cash that he's sweated and bled for, essentially? What are your thoughts on all the headlines we're seeing around this?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, I think so. There's almost when it comes to Nick specifically, right? Look, I think it's really hard to make a case for a founder that they should sit there and pay literally billions of tax. I don't think any human being would do that, right? Let's be really, really clear.
It's a lot of cash.
Like, as in, it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like anyone who says, "Oh, actually, no, I'd sit and pay the tax," is fucking lying.
So true.
I'm sorry, I'm not having that, right? Like, but I think that the interesting kind of challenge for UK and I think for Europe in general is how do you compete for those kind of people in a world where like Dubai will offer 0% capital gains tax? I think that's like a genuinely hard question. And I think it's particularly hard in the UK context versus the rest of Europe in that, Nick's a really good example. So many of our great founders are from overseas, right? So like roughly 40% of UK unicorns were founded by a foreign founder. And it means that you don't have that same natural kind of direct tie to the UK. The truth is we, on the one hand, we would laud the fact that we're such a great place to build and we attract all these people here. But by definition, that means that, there's sort of been a flag of convenience for building in the first place, right? It's the best place to build. Just like now, frankly, Dubai is the best place to exit because like you don't have any capital gains tax. And so, yeah, I think it's a really tricky balance to strike. I think there's a much longer conversation to be had about how you kind of accrue value in the age in which you have this kind of much more, not flighty is the wrong way of putting it, but entrepreneurs are much more mobile, right? And actually it comes to the budget conversation we just had, which is, the British government raised capital gains tax at the last budget. There's this constant conversation about how do we keep entrepreneurs here? How do we make sure that rich people stay here, basically, fundamentally? And one of the things that we've been trying to educate the government on and had a lot of conversation, including with folks like the Chancellor, is these founders are different to the generation of businesses that went before, right? I remember talking to an American founder of a business in the UK probably about 6 months ago. And he was just like, Don, my business is like 40 people with laptops, right? So like where they sit, it isn't, it matters in that I like being in London and I have, there's nice restaurants and all this sort of stuff. But like the truth is actually I could build this anywhere. And so we'll build it the place that works best for us. And I think that's genuinely changed, right? In a previous generation, you'd have capital investments, you'd have factories, you'd have all this stuff on the ground that meant you were pretty much weighed down in a way that like governments, not just the UK, but governments globally have to now think about in terms of what their offer is to these founders, right?
Yeah. That's I mean, it's interesting. It kind of brings me on to another thing. You mentioned that like, a lot of these people maybe aren't UK natives that are building incredible businesses in the UK, and Trump's H-1B visa situation with the fee that they've put in, it's 100,000, I think. A lot of people are saying this is a massive opportunity for the UK. The talent density is already incredible. Not just the UK, but obviously the whole of Europe, but like the talent density is already incredible. It's at a little bit of a discount to the US already. Like what's the impact of this?
Yeah, no, it's huge, right? I think it's a great opportunity. Like what's the old joke that, we don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. And the reality is, I always think that's when you see these situations, right? It's like the truth is, you just have to be better than the US on talent, right? And that's the best you can do. I think, look, like there's this huge opportunity for two reasons. The first is it's not just the cost of H1B, right? The reality is there's a lot of people who look at what's going on in the US and think it's a bit bonkers, right? Like in lots of ways. And I think that's anybody who follows the news, I think that's probably a reasonable analysis, like regardless of what you kind of broadly think about politics. And we've heard this from folks who are working in some of the most amazing companies in the world. And so how do we kind of attract as much of that talent as possible? I think the starting point for me is always making it much easier to get a visa. And there's two versions of that. One is the bureaucracy of the system and one is the cost, right? So the cost question of our visas are still in the UK context more expensive than a lot of other competitive regimes. And so like, how do we make it much cheaper? It's far too expensive. My wife's American and in reality, she's paid an absolute fortune for the privilege of living in the UK, which, I don't get me wrong, I'm sure she's delighted about. And like, but in truth, it could be cheaper. Yeah. And then the other is just that the Home Office goes out of its way to make it seem like they don't like you, which is not like a great place to be, is it? Like, I mean, it's like if they treat you like you're an arsehole, then you can't, you're not delighted to be paying up this 10 grand. So how do we make that sort of feel like a slightly different thing? And I think that it's not impossible to do that. Like when we polled entrepreneurs and talked to them, like the vast majority of them say that actually that bureaucracy in the system, the fact that there's a sort of single email inbox and you submit and then you hear nothing for months or whatever, is their problem, right? And all those things are fixable. That's a technology problem. That's like a sort of systems problem. So it's definitely resolvable. It's just we have to have the will to resolve it, right?
Yeah. So interesting. I think we're out of time. But Dom, thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely have you on again. And let us know when you're back in the UK. We can come and give you a hat.
Will do. Appreciate it. Cheers, lads. Thanks very much for
Good stuff.
Nice one, mate.
Cheers. Have a good rest of your day.
Cheers. Bye. Maybe a quick read from our ads. Seapoint, get back control of your finances with Seapoint, your startup's financial home. Seapoint is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting.
You spent a lot of time remembering that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Quick readout for Jack and Jill. We just had the founders on. They've just raised $20 million seed funding led by Creandum. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai, I believe.
Quick one from ACI.dev, the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and data. And maybe let me just get a quick Fora one in there because I love Fora so much. Luke loves the gummy bears. Fora, well, before I do that, Fora's drink selection is insane. It's not just a coffee or a latte or a flat white. I had a honey and lemon hot tea there, like with real honey, real lemons, and then the lemons were like cut up into these little like diced bits.
They have like cordials. They've literally got any drink you want. It's pretty good.
Fora, it's the flexible office space that we all know and love. Private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes at over 60 locations across London, the UK, and Germany.
Nice. I think it's right to touch on Nscale. Just a quick thing, the FT came out with an article the other day about, I think it was yesterday or maybe today, UK data center startup Nscale strikes $14 billion Microsoft deal in the push for an IPO. I believe that'll be in 2026. It says that it has a deal with Microsoft worth $14 billion to deliver NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs across sites in Texas and Portugal, builds on an earlier Norway project and gives Nscale longer-term contracted value. The company is using the momentum to prep for a possible IPO in 2026. If they secure power and hit delivery timelines, Nscale becomes a serious European player in AI infrastructure.
Very
like exciting.
What Dom was saying, just all this sort of like AI and infra use in the UK, and it's never something that I've properly thought of. Because when I look at that, I feel that like, how do we compete with the US and China, right? Because if you look at like the whole system end to end in terms of like manufacturing, production, distribution, actually like selling it and deploying these products. How can our little tiny island fit in that stack, right? And like he was saying some really interesting points around like, part of getting into that realm is just finding that small area that you can plug, like the one thing that you're really good at. Yeah, and just kind of work your way in there. Don't go for like, we're obviously not going to be able to compete with like some of the larger players in the whole stack, but find an area that we can have some level of like a comparative advantage and just like fit our way into the supply chain or the end-to-end process in any way.
I think there's an argument 100% where like it's like a venture play, right? You're kind of putting money into lots of different bets that might add in, smaller abilities in the kind of whole workflow, and maybe that's where the UK and Europe should be kind of looking. Obviously, the scale worldwide is massive compared to what Europe could potentially bolster. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting one to kind of think about.
Yeah. So up next we have James Wise. We'll be chatting to him in about 5 minutes. James Wise is one of the partners at Balderson Capital, one of the best performing venture capital companies in the world, to be honest. Shout out to Balderson. For those who aren't aware, we've started to stack our shelves, and this little ceramic bad boy is a plate from the Balderson 25th anniversary launch party that was held at the V&A. It was a lovely night, a who's who of venture teams, startup founders, very impressive individuals there, poker tables, cocktails. It was an absolute blast. So thank you to Balderson for our lovely ceramic plate that's managed to make its way onto some prime real estate right there. Center nearly top of the famous European Technology Network shelf. Before we jump in with James, Nikita Bier is hitting the headlines again, head of product at X. Is Nikita out as head of product at X? So this was a Polymarket sort of bet was made recently, like a market opened for. Will Nikita Bier be out as the head of product at X? For those who don't know, Polymarket is a predictions market, very similar to Kalshi markets. They officially aren't actually open in the UK at the moment, so unfortunately you cannot access them unless you have a VPN. But Nikita Bier, and this is the interesting thing about prediction markets, right? Because sometimes the individual with it, well, two things. One thing is like sometimes the individual who the bet is based around would have some power to influence whether the decision pulls off, right? Let's say that like £1 billion pounds or whatever is put into this bet on a yes or no with Nikita Bier be head of product at X at the end of the year. If it's yes, then he himself can influence the fact. He could put money into this, right? I'm not sure what the regulation around this is, and it's very European of me to start talking about regulation for this specifically, but because it's a lot of fun. It's a meme on X, and I'm trying to regulate it, but that's interesting because he could probably put a large sum of money behind this, and then maybe, I don't know, do something to get himself fired. I don't want to be. Maybe punch his boss in the face. His boss would be Elon Musk. So that'd probably make more headlines, actually.
Probably be a pretty
Elon Musk in the face.
Pretty bad idea.
But it's interesting, right? And there's a lot of dangers around that. This is what's been discussed previously, where, like, let's say that someone, let's take this example, like Nikita Bier out of head of product at X. If the best way to make that happen is someone was to maybe like put a hit out on Nikita, like if $1 billion is up for grabs, like some people would be financially incentivized, maybe if they're down bad and they need a quick win or something like this where they're quite desperate, like and they know that if they do the thing they'll get $1 billion. Like people have done worse stuff for less money, right? So it kind of opens up this kind of dangerous system.
It does, and there's also another element. Someone commented on the original post from Polymarket. Nikita fumbled with the creator program. The boss himself says the program is okay and creators should get paid more, not denied payouts like Nikita was planning. There's so much on the timeline about the creator program. I kind of agree. I think the what's happening with the X payouts and stuff. Obviously, they've been able to not pay their creators for over 7 years before YouTube were able to and stuff. So there's so much in whether Nikita's basically should leave or not. It's an interesting one. So we'll follow it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Some people really like him, some people hate him. We'll see what happens.
So I'm just trying to get a laptop charger for my laptop because I foolishly did not charge it last night.
Silly. Okay, so I think so we've got James Wise, partner of Balderton, coming on. Big fish. We're gonna talk to him about some kind of European political stuff, which might be quite interesting to some people. I wanted to touch just quickly before we have him on about whether we're in a bubble. There was a LinkedIn post by Sam Tidswell-Norrish the other day that I think sums it up pretty well. A new Goldman Sachs global strategy paper argues that while valuations are high and concentration risks are rising, concentration risk is rising, the current market environment is fundamentally different from past bubbles. Here are 5 key reasons why. Earnings, not euphoria, are driving returns. Valuations are stretched but still grounded. Concentration is real but not necessarily dangerous. CapEx and AI investment are surging responsibly. Diversification matters more than ever. Basically, they concluded, we're not in a bubble yet. It's just, but be vigilant.
Who better poised to discuss such a topic?
Exactly.
Than James Wise, partner of Balderton. Just check with our Putin if we're good to go.
We will get him on. James, can you hear us?
Can he hear us? Waiting for the reply. We're not sure. James, are you there?
Stream.
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing? We're live.
Hey, James, how's it going?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. Loud and
clear. You
clear.
hear us?
Good. Very well. I've been trying to watch some of it.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for tuning in, James. We're so happy that you've come on the show. Welcome to the European Technology Network. I'm not sure if you noticed, we were showing off our ceramic plate from the Balderton 25th anniversary party that I was kindly invited to as a media representative. And also
Yeah,
previous
I did.
podcast.
Does the VNA know that you have that plate?
No, that was given as a gift. That was that.
Do you not have a plate,
Oh,
James?
really? Okay, good.
From Balderton? Here's my.
I didn't take gifts. I didn't take gifts for my own party, guys.
The gift
This
was
is very bad
created by the famous ceramicist Florence St. George from the Balderton team.
Oh, yes, of course. Florence is a key member of our team here at Balderton.
But you didn't get
We're
one.
famous for our tech and ceramics. No, I didn't take a party bag. Well, that was for the guests.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We're showing it proudly on ETN. It's actually got some prime real estate, as Ronan said, right in the middle. So very lucky. James, so nice to have you on. Thank you so much. I think we should just start on a bit of an intro from you and what's kind of going on, really. I mean, let's have an update on what you're working on at Balderton.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot going on. I think I've been in European venture for 15 years, and over that period of time, the market's been up and been down. There's been new waves of technology. There's been a huge amount of progress, especially in sort of levels of ambition of European entrepreneurs and what they can achieve. But there has never been a time like this in my 15 years in terms of the scale of what's going on. Yeah, it's good. No, it does deserve a round of applause. It doesn't get enough applause, I feel. And I think it's really important. You can constantly compare yourself to different geographies, or, you can always pick holes in and challenges and what's going on in a country, in an ecosystem. But if you look at it, zoom out a little bit over the last decade, it's absolutely astonishing. And, as an investor in the space, someone who gets this great job where I get to speak to people building and working at the frontier of a lot of new technology businesses, I've certainly never been more excited about what's happening here. And I don't think I've ever seen this level of value creation and product impact and velocity. So it's, at a macro scale, loads of problems on a day-to-day, but at a macro scale, it's going very well. And Balderton, we're having a very good year. We will return more capital to our investors this year than we ever have before in our 25-year history, surpassing the sort of 2021 heights, which is great. And, we're fortunate to have backed over the last decade some brilliant founders who are now building these companies, and people are leaving those companies and they're raising from us. So we're also seeing this great ecosystem development as well. So it's generally speaking, it's going great.
Awesome. Maybe this is the wrong time to ask this question, but I want to get your take on Waymo coming to London. Obviously, they're a US company, but we've got a massive company wave over in Europe too. One question I wanted to ask is, as well as your take, is London big enough to have two massive players playing in the same space? Is one gonna win, or do you think they can coexist? What's your kind of take overall?
Yeah, I mean, they can certainly coexist. I think London's the largest city for ride hailing in the Western world. So if you look at the market, I believe that London, in terms of whether it's platforms like Uber or it's the black cabs, it's bigger than New York and bigger than Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I'm fairly certain, or it's certainly up there. So first of all, it is the market, right? This is the most important market to win for anyone. And secondly, so there's more than enough space for two players. But secondly, when it comes to autonomous vehicles, they are just one solution in a stack of different transport options, right? Buses, underground, overground, private cabs, black cabs, autonomous vehicles, bicycles, walking. People will choose different things for different routes. And so, the overall transportation market is immense. It's like something crazy, like 8 million people a week use the London Underground alone.
Wow.
So it's a massive market. There's loads of different modalities, and self-driving is going to play an important part in that. It's not going to change everything we do transport-wise, but it's going to play a really important part in that. And it's great to have a couple of options, one of whom is a sort of British-based company. And I think it's great Waymo's done it. I think this is like Waymo's third or fourth city. Obviously, Wave has been active in 90 cities across the world recently. So because of the end-to-end approach Wave took from day one and the different sort of technology stack, as well as the different way they're doing partnerships with cars, they've got a different strategy to Waymo. So they compete at one level, but actually in many ways they don't. But look, the more people competing, probably the better outcome for me, you, and customers out there.
Good
Absolutely.
stuff. I could literally talk to you about that for days. I've got so many questions, but we should jump on more.
We saw Wave welcome Waymo on X.
Interesting.
They put a tweet out. I don't think they reshared the post, but maybe commented under just a friendly, welcome to London, which I thought was very, very respectable. It's very, very well done, very professional of them. A lot of people then got in the comments and made other suggestions, but we can get past Wave. James, we were just talking.
No, guys. I think it's super interesting, and it's probably next year that the shoe drops on autonomous vehicles in the UK. But I think what's really important is people start realizing this is happening, it's coming. And if you look at what happened in response to ChatGPT and sort of the sort of mini freakouts, I think everyone, in some ways, rightly had like, oh wow, what is this new thing? How are we going to navigate it? I think that's going to be nothing compared to this rise in automation. And so it's important people start talking about it now because it's going to change a lot and it needs to be properly rolled out and safely rolled out. So the more you cover it, the better.
Yeah, well, going on that, when I first got into a Waymo in SF, that for me, and we spoke about it on the show the other day, but that for me was like one of those moments that's like an oh wow moment, like similar to when I first used GPT, similar to when I first used the iPhone. Like, I think those moments are getting even more and more rare now as we get desensitized to like the amazing things that are coming out. But that was a genuine, real, like, this is absolutely crazy that I'm in this car and I'm getting from A to B very safely, very in a cost-effective way, and also there's no one driving the car. So like to have that in London would be amazing because in my mind SF is it's a place far overseas and I've only been there a couple of times, but to have it in the home that we all know and love is a tremendous day for the whole country. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, and I've been in a Wave multiple times around London, obviously, and sort of they've operated in Manchester, other parts of the UK. So it's coming. It's going to be different to what a lot of other people use for transport. I think it's going to add to people using transportation rather than replacing. But it's coming, and it's going to, I think, have a very big impact in 2026.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should move on swiftly to some other questions, more I guess about what I think we brought you on for particularly, and talk generally about kind of the EU market, what you're seeing generally, and then especially the UK maybe IPO market as well. Let's start in the kind of EU general tech scene. What are you seeing? What's exciting at the moment, and what are you kind of planning for in 2026?
Yeah, so over the last year, we have seen probably the most diverse range of founders coming to our IC than we ever have before in terms of the sectors they're working in. So, if you go back to our funds in, let's say, 2009, 2009, 2012, a lot of e-commerce, a lot of marketplaces. 2012 to 2015, a lot of fintech, right? Our fund 5 and to some extent fund 6, which was sort of 2013, 2016 vintages, heavy fintech, right? And rightly so. And we're very fortunate to have done that because some of the best performing funds in the world. But now it's much broader. In the last year, we've invested in early stage, a sort of a intelligence drones company, invested in a nuclear fusion company. We've invested in a space logistics company, invested in multiple AI model companies, invested in green energy provider, full stack green energy provider. It is incredibly broad. And I think it speaks to, one, just technology encroaching into all these different industries, but two, the breadth and depth of industries in Europe, right? So, you can rightly point to the lack of, let's say, AI infrastructure or pure software platforms in Europe and say, guys, we missed a trick, and 100% is the case. But you look at the financial services industry, you look at the creative industry, you look at the chemicals industry and industrials industry, you look at sort of just manufacturing as a whole and engineering as a whole. Europe still has some of the leading, biggest companies in the world in that space. And now, as automation, intelligent software, and just sort of the founder mentality spreads across Europe and goes even deeper, we are seeing this broader range of industries we can invest in and founders we can invest in. So I'd love to tell you, this is the hotspot. Our fund is going to be 50% fintech, or our fund is going to be 50% X. It isn't. I think it's going to be much broader when it comes to the kinds of industries people are innovating in than ever before. Now, it puts pressures on VC firms, right? Because we have to get up the curve quicker, and we have to be a lot more focused on where we think these new frontiers are. Whether it's defense, whether it's biotech,
Does that?
But the opportunity set is much larger as well.
Just to jump in, does that make it more likely that a lot of VCs will start moving kind of down the stack towards people investing? The idea that it's less about the industry and where you're building and the idea, but it's more about the person that's building that thing.
I think it's always been about that. And if you aren't a VC who's constantly obsessed with talent and assessing an individual's right to win in a market, then you've been doing your job wrong all along. So it should have always been about that. There are types of investors who just want to get exposure to trends. So they'll say, let's invest in every neobank because we believe neobanks are going to win, right? And that's a different type of investing. You may call them VCs, but I don't think of that as venture. It's indexing. And it's not bad, it's just different.
Yeah.
And so, I think everyone's been talent focused, people focused. That's always been the mentality. Every investment memo we start with, the matrices we use, every question we ask it always starts with the team and often the founders. But putting that aside, actually, I think it requires more nuanced understanding of industries. So especially a lot of deep tech investors, I think historically have thought, well, we're taking risk on the science, right? Either they get it right or they get it wrong. They get it right, off we go. This is going to be a great company. If they get it wrong, it's a zero. We can tolerate some of those. That's the beauty of venture. But actually, a lot of the time, it's also go-to-market risk and financing risk. Because if you're building nuclear fusion, if you're building space logistics companies, this isn't just about a great founder, although that's a necessary. It's not sufficient, right? You're going to need a different type of capital as you scale production. If you look at the success of SpaceX over the last 20 years, it's taken huge amounts of capital, predominantly government funding, to build that company. Nowhere near as much as NASA needed, by the way, but still, quantums which even A16Z and SoftBank can't provide. So looking at that, I actually think you're going to see a lot of people specialize a little bit more to really understand the dynamics of a company, because this is no longer an industry where you can say it's an 80% gross margin business and it's going to throw off cash once it gets to scale. Because a lot of those businesses are being eaten alive by Gen AI at the moment, a lot of those SaaS businesses. And instead, you're going to have these businesses with very different financial profiles. So understanding that in a way has become more important than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. It seems that a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is it's a lot more capital intensive to get to a certain point where you're happy with the business, right? And a lot of the cash that's flowing in is around AI, and a lot of these capital intensive businesses are around AI on a larger scale. This question, are we in a bubble? I mean, Luke was just bringing up a brilliant point previous to this. We had Dom Halles coming on, who's talking a lot of the governments getting involved in terms of policies around this. They're trying to understand where the future is headed for the UK and obviously the whole of Europe. We're seeing Trump work with a lot of the sort of top companies that are working across AI in the US. It seems to be everywhere you turn, to the point where it's getting memed about a lot now. Everything is just AI. It's reminiscent of a bubble sort of feeling? Like, are we in a bubble? Are we not? What's the situation?
Well, there's two types of bubble in my mind, right? So there's a financialized bubble. So Carlota Perez writes about this, the four stages of a technological revolution. And she's a brilliant economist. Just every technological breakthrough has resulted in some level of financial bubble. It is almost prerequisite because you have all these people trying new things, lots of capital runs into the market, and effectively it takes time for innovators and entrepreneurs to work out what actually works. They need the money to do that. The winners will be huge, but there'll be lots of losses on the way, and this enthusiasm creates bubbles. There's that type of bubble, and there's the other type of bubble, which is this is actually a technological dead end. So we're investing all this capital, I've said this a long time, and maybe I was right or wrong, but things like certain forms of digital currencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum aside, and stablecoins aside, like the bathing ape stuff and the stuff people were doing there. Was that a brand new technology which just went through a financial bubble and will come out of it, or was it just a technological dead end? And that's that question. I'm with it when it comes to AI. I'm completely against. I believe that this is like a fundamentally valuable new piece of technology, a new way of building software and introducing intelligence to all different types of processes. And that's going to be long lasting, and that's going to have a huge impact. So in that sense, I don't think we're in a technological bubble. We're not going down a dead end, as some people think, right? Some people think transformer models, diffusion models are going to be very limited. I don't think we're in that kind of technological bubble. So that's the good news. In a financial bubble, it's inevitable. It is inevitable that when you have this kind of shift in terms of both what you can do with this new technology, but the amount of capital going in the ground, in terms of literally capital going in the ground this time with CapEx, so something like 1% of US GDP is being invested in AI infrastructure at the moment, there will be areas of massive over-financialization, right, which will be exposed at some point. Does it come crashing down at some point? Does the stock market take does S&P 500 take a 10% hit drawdown one day? I think it's very likely. I think it's very likely to happen, but it's a short run sort of, impact. I don't think it's going to be as deep or as long as the dot-com bubble. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing about the dot-com bubble is, people were saying, oh, it's over, right? Like, no one's going to get a dot-com anymore in 2002 or whatever. No one's going to do venture anymore. No one's going to do startups anymore. But every company in the world switched over the course of a few years from being offline to online, right? Everyone had to have a digital presence. That's going to happen here. Everyone's going to have some element of intelligence built into their processes, or like 95% of businesses. So I think we're safe in the long run. In the short run, there will 100% be a market drawdown for whatever reason. And if I knew the day, I would be in a different industry. It could be tomorrow, it could be in a year's time, it could be in 3 years.
I guess that's not really a job. I want to touch on like the concentration of capital. Goldman Sachs released some data saying the 10 largest US companies now represent nearly 25% of the global equity value. What do you think in going on from this question about being a bubble? What do you think about that and the risks and potential hurdles that are going to be faced over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? What's your take on that?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's unprecedented. I believe that, so if you look at the history of the railway companies, the oil companies, energy companies, there have been times where such a small number of companies have dominated. Maybe, but it feels very, very high, and it's happening for two reasons. So one is the speed of innovation and the advantages that a Google or an NVIDIA has in the future AI infrastructure stack is just astonishing. So there is a natural accumulation of capital. But the second reason is investors haven't yet been given a lot of choice to diversify into other ways to get into AI infrastructure and applications of AI. That if you look at OpenAI, it's a $500 billion private company. It's sort of mind blowing that's happened. 10 years ago, definitely wouldn't have happened, or is very unlikely to get that kind of scale of capital in. You would have need to have gone public. So that's happening more and more, right? If you look at listings, the average age of a listing in the US is something like, it's more than a 10-year-old company now. In the UK, it's like more than 20-year-old company. Used to be much younger. So the reality is just investors aren't going to be getting as many options. As more of those companies mature, come to market, and you're sitting there saying, do I want to take a bet that Nvidia is going to keep growing at this rate, or do I believe that one of these new startups, like a much smaller company but with a different path, whether that's an 11 Labs in voice, or it's a video AI company, or it's a piece of it like an Nscale piece of the AI infrastructure stack, as they come to market, I think investors will naturally sort of diversify a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And let's touch on the UK IPO market a little bit, and where you see the opportunity there, or the potential hurdles. What's your take on the kind of just general UK IPO market at the moment?
Yeah, so the vibes have been bad.
Seriously,
sort of slightly
vibes have been
unfairly.
dreadful.
But like, I sort of really struggle. So I saw Chamath tweeting about how British IPOs are dead, like we're behind Mexico. And if anyone knows about a sinking stock market, I guess he's the world expert.
Yeah.
But there was an unfortunate period of time for that data to come out, because since that data's come out, actually there's been 2 large IPOs on the FTSE, and there will be more. And I was quoting the Sunday Times a couple of weeks ago on this. We do need a national stock market. Some people say, how important are they really? But Manchester used to have a stock exchange in the 70s, and there was then the Northern Stock Exchange. And I'm from Manchester, I'm very proud of it's a beautiful building now, but there ain't a stock exchange there anymore. And we were told at the time, if you go back to press clippings, oh, it's fine to move the stock exchange to London. The money will still flow to you. Don't worry about it. But actually what it did was decimate any remnants of the financial system in Manchester, right? And Manchester's rebuilt and is the fastest growing part of the UK now, but through different areas. So it's important to have one. We can't lose the FTSE and so the London Stock Exchange to the US. It would really damage probably the most productive part of the UK economy right now, which is the financial sector. And it gives listing options to other companies which may not be suitable for the US because the US market doesn't recognize it, whatever. And to their credit, the LSE have been innovating over the last year or so, right? They've released multi-currency stocks now. They're changing listing rules to make it slightly easier. The government has said, I think they confirmed, or at least it's rumored, that they're reducing tax stamp duty on trading shares in an IPO for the first year or so. And they're also launching the secondaries market. So Crowdcube is doing the secondaries piece with the LSE. So employees will be able to start more liquidly trading their shares as a company approaches IPO. So all of these things are positive, and they're sort of building up to something. They don't yet break the back of the biggest single issue, which is the lack of capital, right? Yeah. The lack of volume of trading. And that has to be broken. We're in a vicious cycle in the UK where we don't have the capital, which means we don't have the companies. We don't have the companies, so we don't have the analysts, and the analysts therefore don't bring the capital, right? So we've got to break that cycle. It's a negative cycle. The way we do that is I think by extreme pressure on pension funds in the UK. Pension funds in the UK, their allocation to equities, not London Stock Exchange, FTSE, equities is below 10% and averaging around 5%, down from about 40% in 2000. And there was some great data out from Blackstone recently that said pension funds with over 30% exposure to equities outperformed pension funds with under 10% by 2.5% a year, about 6% to 8.5%. And now 2.5% a year doesn't sound much, but over a decade, that's 50%. So our pensioners in the UK, private and some public pensions, are 50% worse off because of poor allocation to equities. It's astonishing. Like, people talk about the triple lock and everything else, and there's arguments for and against, and But that's the great financial theft of the last decade. We've ruined our pension bases because people have been chasing gilts and sort of steady returns from low interest rates rather than equities. So we need to break the back of that. The government's doing some stuff. I think it could do a lot more. Previous government promised to do a lot more and they didn't have time to. So, if we break that cycle, I think the IPO market could be in a much better place.
It's so good to get an official expert take on it, right? We've been reading a lot of scary headlines, we've been reading a lot of scary tweets, so it's good to hear it from someone who's
professional,
well positioned to talk about the issue. James,
this is not financial advice. So a little ticker. Yeah,
we should definitely we can brand this on the clips, maybe flashing red.
Yeah. Do not take financial advice from James Wise.
James, thank you so much for coming on to the European Technology Network. We are out of time. But it's always an open seat for anyone at Boulderson, so we'd love to have you back when time permits.
Thank you so much.
How do I get my book? How do I get my book on those bookshelves, guys?
Send it to our address. We'll send you the address.
Oh, you're not paying for books, yeah?
We don't pay for anything at the European International. We're European, James. People just send us stuff. But you have a new book coming out, actually, right?
Well, So in 2027. So hold your breath.
Okay.
But it's called In Defense of Ambition, and I'm happy to come on and talk about it another time.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Let's get that booked in, and let's also get a book on the shelf here.
Well, we'll save a space for that book in 2027 to go on the shelf.
Yeah, we can put like a coming soon.
Yeah,
like
we'll just put like a little square so you can
Yeah.
have a space whenever you need it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
stuff.
Cheers, James.
Cheers, bye.
All the best. Cheers.
So I could talk to that guy for like days.
James is just so he's just so like gifted at like talking about these topics and issues.
Yeah.
Like he explains it in a way where obviously it's an incredibly intelligent individual, right? But like he explains it in a way where like for me, for example, I am not well traversed in this particular realm that he's discussing. But like,
Well, he's been in
when I-
venture for 15 years, right? He's got to know, like, you know, he's got to know so much, and he's an unbelievable investor. And it's just like so nice to be able to have someone like that, you know, come on the show so early, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, like one of his awesome skill sets, I think, is he can explain it in really complex topics in really simple terms. Which I guess is like a true sign of an expert.
Exactly. We'll definitely have James back on. Just quick run of your sponsors. Seapoint, get back control of your finances with Seapoint, your startup's financial home. Seapoint is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to seapoint.co.
Nice.
So we have 5 minutes until our next guest on. Our next guest is Jameson Seidel. She's GP at Chapter 1 Ventures. She's actually announcing something, so definitely stay on if you can. We met her. We went to the House of Lords about 2 weeks ago for the UK AI and AI Engine. It was like a tea. It was amazing. You probably saw it on X if you're on X. We chatted to Jameson. She is doing some unbelievable stuff at Chapter 1. And I'm really excited to talk to her. And she has lots to say, lots to announce. So it's going to be a good show. Yeah,
for those who know, Jameson is basically the poker queen of London. She hosts regular poker events in London. She has a really interesting backstory around like why poker is a big part of her life. But she hosts games at her house. So if you're lucky enough to get an invite, definitely get down. It's usually a big great group of people in venture, in tech. Very, very laid back atmosphere, but maybe she can talk a little bit more towards the poker games, what goes down on that, and also why poker is a part of her life, because it's a really cool story.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch quickly on the new bank that released yesterday. US approves new bank backed by billionaires with ties to Donald Trump. The bank Erebor, I'm sure you guys have heard of it if you're in tech. The FT says US regulators have approved the launch of a bank backed by a group of high-profile tech billionaires with ties to Donald Trump's administration, seeking to fill a gap left by the collapse of SVB. The bank Erebor was founded this year by Palmer Luckey, co-founder and military contractor Anduril, and Joe Lonsdale, head of venture capital firm 8VC and a co-founder of data analytics firm Palantir. As a stacked lineup. Its early backers also include Peter Thiel's venture firm Founders Fund and Horn Ventures, a crypto-focused investor. Incredible. I mean, that's like, it's going to be interesting. I've heard lots about Erebor and what they're going to be doing after SVB's collapse a few years ago. We'll definitely stick pretty close to that. Have you got another story?
Yeah, we've also got some like relatively breaking news.
Close to home?
2 hours ago. Unfortunately, not super close to home, but it is breaking news. It's Deal. Deal has shrugged off, according to the FT, Deal shrugs off spy scandal to boost valuation to 17 billion. Now, for those who don't know, Deal had a situation developing last year with one of their rival companies operating in the HR software space, Rippling, where there was like talks of some sort of HR software espionage going down, and the story was unfolding live from like multiple outlets. It was fascinating. It was nuts. Like for those who do know what we're discussing, you'll know how bonkers this thing was, and I guess that was just part of the new GTM strategy, right? It's
For sure. We'll get someone on that deal.
Maybe we should get a spy for ETN,
Yeah, I mean,
Just spy on
maybe we already have one.
Maybe you already have one.
Yeah, maybe we already have one. Quick readout for our sponsor, Jack and Jill. Don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. If you watched the first bit of the show, we had the two co-founders on. They have just announced their $20 million seed round led by Creandum. Unbelievable company. You should definitely watch that. We'll get it on Spotify and YouTube once this show's done. They're literally building two companies at once and killing both. Or killing at both. So yeah, you should definitely watch that. So that'll be super interesting. I'm just seeing if Jameson is in the house. Not in the house yet. Let's. Why
don't I just sneak in a quick ACI.dev?
Go for it.
In there, all nonchalant. Like
ACI.dev.
The open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and your data. I'm going to go back to back with another Fora one as well. Fora, the flexible office space, private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes at over 60 locations across London, the UK, and Germany.
I just wanted to quickly highlight the things that people have said that they will want to send us. And if anyone does want to send us anything, we'll just give you our address and you can send something over. We have got three kind of mad things. An old Fusion core from a deep tech founder, which is pretty mad.
So that'll be like a cross section of a real
Fusion core.
Mad.
A scale model of a CX-90 Volvo with VC branding.
We won't say which VC yet.
Yeah, we won't say which. And finally, a bobblehead figurine of a GP of a tier 1 fund.
Which is being made. It's being made for the show. Like they don't just have those lying around.
Oh, mad. Well, we're going to have a pretty expensive, case behind us. So it's going to be exciting. We'll have to lock the doors when we leave the studio, for sure. Jameson, I think, is on the show. Jameson, can you hear us?
I can. Am I live now?
You're on air.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Hello.
Hello. You are on air. You are talking to all of our lovely, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the European Technology Network. Jameson, how are we?
No, I'm great. I'm nervous. I'm a bit
Don't
nervous.
be nervous.
We're all nervous.
Yeah, it's a big day. I mean, only the second show. I'm after James, who someone once referred to me as the white European Obama. So, that's it's massive to follow that up,
What a
and
great
then we have
start.
Zoe after. So it'll be a big show.
He's gonna love that nickname.
Well, I mean,
you're tuned in.
You're equally, you're equally as influential. So
we were just discussing like the poker stuff in London. I sort of called you the poker queen of London. Some of the hardest games to get into. We'll have to check out the poker stuff. But before we jump into that, how's your day going? What's new?
You've got something to announce, no?
Oh yes, and you also have an announcement, right?
We have some big announcements coming up.
Day's
going. Oh, should I just go for it?
Go for the announcement. I think you've got to start, and then you can explain more about chapter 1.
Okay, amazing. I'll go for the announcement. So I guess to quickly introduce myself for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Jameson Seidel, and I'm a general partner at an early stage fund called Chapter 1. And I'm honored to be on this show right now to announce our new program and initiative called The Engine Room. Just to give you kind of like quick background and overview of what The Engine Room is, it is a new program that we're launching. It'll be a 1-week sprint where we are giving 8 teams £5,000. And the idea is to have these teams take their side projects, ideas that they've been thinking about, or maybe PhDs that want to commercialize. And this will be the week where they can kind of run with that idea and see if they can make it into a real company. And we also have brought in these like incredible mentors and partnerships. So we have people from 11 Labs, from Anthropic, from DeepMind, from Coinbase. We have founders that have raised, over 100 million as mentors. And so we're really excited about it launching. It'll be October 10th to 14th. Applications are open now. And so that's the overview.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, let's hear it quick.
Well done.
Super pumped for this. The program itself.
I love that name, by the way.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like industrial. It's like It's like Hacker House, but it's like old school.
Yeah, how did you come up with the name? Was it a GPT, ChatGPT type vibe, or was it just straight from the dome?
Oh my gosh, you have no faith.
You're like,
No
I
faith
love the
in the
name. Like,
creativity.
did you AI that?
Well, no, I mean, anytime I want to come up with a name, it's straight to ChatGPT. I don't go up here. This is, you know.
Actually, Zoe came up with it. I was like going for like, it was like the Dev Club. I had the Phoenix Club at one point, and then Zoe
Phoenix Club is
texted
cool.
at like 2 a.m. one night and was like, I have it. It's the engine room, and
Boom.
it's perfect.
I love
Boom.
that.
I kind of agree that is it, to be fair. Of the three, I'd go with the engine room as well.
Yeah.
No shade on your... The Phoenix is a great one as well. The program
Yeah, I
itself.
thought it was kind of like, it created this image of, coming out of the ashes, like building something, but no, the engine room is the right choice for sure.
Yeah, rising from the ashes.
I feel like you
Yeah.
showed us a logo when we were at the House of Lords. You showed us a logo of a phoenix come out of flames. Is that right? Maybe you didn't.
What was in your tea at the House of Lords?
You showed us something.
Yeah, someone definitely spiked that tea. Or it was not me, other people.
Yeah, maybe it was someone else.
Bird enthusiasts, I suppose.
Yeah, aside from the LSD tea at the House of Lords, the program itself. So what inspired you to start the program, and also how does anyone listening, how do they get into the program?
Yeah, so what inspired the program? So Zoe, who I've already mentioned, she's an investor at Dawn Capital, and for the past year, we've been running these hackathons under the name AI Engine. And it basically, Zoe and I both have engineering backgrounds. We both love to code, and it kind of started as, us on a call being like, okay, should we just do this? Like, let's make an event or, a hackathon that actually we would want to attend. And it's turned into these, 200-person massive events with incredible sponsors and some like killer projects that have come out of them every single time. And so we were really excited to build on that momentum. And then at the same time, so I, as mentioned, I'm an investor at early stage fund called Chapter One, and Chapter One was started by this guy named Jeff Morris, JMJ on Twitter, and he's a really big vision guy. And so about every 3 months, we sit down. We're like, okay, what's next? What are some big things that we can do? How can we support founders? And this came out of one of those brainstorming sessions. And the second we kind of started talking through it, we were like, this is a no-brainer. It hasn't been done in Europe, and we have to kick this off.
So awesome.
I love it.
So awesome. I love how quick you managed to just go from 0 to 1 here. And then as an individual interested in the program, how do I get in? How do I apply?
Yeah, so applications are open, starting to review them now. And I think we're really excited about, there are a lot of different personas that, we want to welcome everyone to apply, but are particularly excited about, like talented engineers that have like grit, execution. I think right now, especially with just so much in the ecosystem right now, velocity is the most important thing. So people that can, build and build fast and want to have that pace. And then also, specialized knowledge. So anyone who's coming out of a PhD and is excited about commercializing their idea, we want to support that. Or people that, are thinking about, maybe that they want to be founders but are not 100% sure and don't want to commit to something like an accelerator, but a hackathon's too short. This is kind of the perfect program and structure to be involved in.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week for sure for some of the builders. That's really exciting. Should we jump into the background around poker and that?
I mean, I'd love to hear more about.
I'm super interested.
The poker stuff.
We're
Luke
big
was
poker
pretty
players,
hyped
so
about
we
this.
would love.
Are you?
Yeah, we would love to come down if we're invited to a.
Well, I know
to a
I've signed up to a couple and then have done that thing where when you're on Luma and you're like, oh, this looks cool, like sign up, and then it gets to the day and you're super tired and like I realize it's like an hour and a half away and I was like, oh, I can't go anymore.
Horrible, you're one of those. No, I send really scary emails out before my games being like this, like if you said you're coming, please come, because numbers matter.
Yeah.
Especially in poker, yeah. I mean, like if it's just an event, right? Like, you can have anyone, right? But for an actual game, you need solid people. Not
so this is my public apology live on air for
no, thank you for
motion.
and the confessional of not showing up. But no, people will
on the
arrive
show.
like right at 7 o'clock because they were like, I was scared that you were going to murder me in that email. So I take the invite seriously. But no, it's a really fun game, and yeah, basically the poker background. My dad's a professional poker player. I grew up in Las Vegas, and so have been playing since I was 12 years old. I kind of stopped playing, around like college and high school. Just school got really competitive, but then started to play a lot when I moved to San Francisco. And there was this game that was run by this group of Uber engineers, and they were just like so great. They were really inclusive and like also really loved the games, like real, students, and like they all kind of went on to just be incredible players. And so it was really fun to be in the mix there, and a lot of amazing friendships kind of formed from that. And then when I moved to London, started hosting games, and I think especially with like the venture and startup ecosystem, like happy hours, and they're all just so boring, or like dinner nights or whatever it is. Even though I love all invites to dinners and happy hours.
Yeah, you're gonna see like
your social calendar is like killed.
Keep inviting me to those. I appreciate all of them. But no, I think it's just a really nice way for everyone to get together. And so it's low stakes. Founders, engineers, investors. So 50-pound buy-in. I run one about every month, and yeah, they're always a good time. There's like so many laughs and just shared experience, and I don't know, poker.
Yeah, no, really, really cool. And it's cool, right? Like I think we need more of that stuff, especially in London, where they're kind of like not non-traditional, but it's not just, hey, let's all go to this place, and it's quite stiff, and it's like everyone's straight edge, and we're having drinks, but like no one's obviously drinking because it's a work thing, so you're kind of stuck in this.
And you're like hoping people talk to you too. You're like standing there and you're like, oh gosh, like,
yeah,
like I hope I'm in the right groups, or like, this is so like, what do I say next? I don't know. I always feel so awkward.
Conversations.
Yeah, which is really like, no one wants to do that. No one like wants to go over to a group of people and be like, hey, what are you talking about? Because it's always like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
No,
normal.
I know, and I hate like every time you go up and you're like, "Can I introduce myself?" I'm like, "Oh God, I'm like so cringy." So yeah, the poker is like just chill, good way to get everyone together.
Yeah, I've seen like stuff at those events as well, where it's like someone will come up to you and be like, "Hey, raised like X from X. This is my role. This is who we're backed by," and it's kind of just like, what's your name? Like, what's your name, man? Like,
I just want to get to know you.
What did you do at the weekend? Like, not like, I don't even know who you are.
It's like someone asking, like the first question they ask you, they're like, what college did you go to? Or what university? And you're like, I'm so much more than that.
Yeah. That's like super common, I think, US and UK.
Always talking about shop, always talking about work, that's just like standard procedure at networking events, I guess. You're not there to make friends, there to make connections.
That's make money.
Exactly. I want to touch on your experience working at Twitter, and we actually just had IPO Market come out the other day with Nikita Bier potentially leaving or kind of being struck out as head of product at X. What's your take on that, and what are you seeing difference-wise on the platform and the algorithm, all of this kind of stuff?
Yeah, Nikita stepped into a hard job.
Yeah.
It's like Twitter is, I think that was one thing that I learned. So I was there from 2016 to 2021. I left before Elon came in, which like, thank goodness. I think it would have I don't know if I would have made it mentally, because I feel like with Twitter, like all the employees at Twitter, because you work like on the platform and you also are on the platform so much scrolling, like you care so much about like, just how your timeline looks and like what people think of it. And so, yeah, it was really dramatic to have Elon come in. But yeah, I think, it's definitely changed. You can like feel it in the algorithm, a lot more short videos and a lot less personalized. But at the same time, I do give credit for Nikita stepping in, because it's really messy. So just to give some background, I was at Twitter for 5 years. By the time I left, I was the technical lead for the platform manipulation team. So focused on building on algorithms for bot detection, election interference, like any sort of large scale platform manipulation. And it was also a crazy time to be at Twitter, because it was post 2016 election. There was like this huge techlash. Everyone hated Facebook and Twitter. And so, there was a lot of spotlight on what we were doing. But people all the time would come up and say to me, they'd be like, well, why don't you just solve crypto spam? It's not that hard. And I'm like, have you seen the, like, it's really difficult. Like,
just create
Twitter,
world peace. Like, it's just so easy.
Yeah, it's like such a messy platform,
Yeah.
and which is like the beauty of it, of course. But then on the other hand, like it's really like difficult from a like policy perspective, or like, you know, Nikita tweeted that they took down like 1.5 million reply bots, and I'm sure a lot of those were like semi-human, semi-automated, and you know, like it's tricky, like whether to take those accounts down or not, because you know, Facebook, like again, it's like a real person. You have to be like basically verified, or not verified, but like, you know, they have real person policy. But like Twitter's like a free for all, you know. So to like make those decisions and like clean up the platform, it's tough. But we'll see. I mean, he's done some cool things, and it does, you know, it's a tough job, but like it just, it has such staying power. I should also update like how I speak about it to saying X instead of Twitter. Jeff was saying how like I sound really old now. Like you sound like you're like.
I don't know. I think you've earned the right to use
when
Twitter,
you were,
to use
you
the OG, right? Like you are you helped.
You were at
build
Twitter, right?
Yeah. I think that's an honor that you should hold, and you alone. I think it is interesting. And it from optics-wise, outside looking in, from Nikita's perspective as well, it does kind of look like he is. Obviously, he's not, but it kind of looks like he's like a one-man band, like running the whole thing. Like he's replying to messages from like, you know, accounts with like 10 followers about like specific issues with the platforms. I think what he's doing a really good job of is like this building public style underneath like a larger corporate with that. So he's very vocal. He's very like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're updating on. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of that?
And he's an incredible builder. Like he's an absolute legend. So like if anyone can turn the platform around and be head of product, it should be him.
It is him.
But
well, he did, what was it? It was Gas and then TBH. I can't remember, I think it was TBH first and then Gas, but like built TBH and then sold it to Facebook, I think. Maybe did a year at Facebook. And then just built the same app that was like, it was like you could rate your friends or something. I can't remember the specifics around the thing, but it was a pretty quick like Gen Z type focused consumer application. He sold it for like a fair few quid to Facebook, did a year there, and then he just built the same app again and sold it to someone else, and got off.
He sold to Discord?
Was it Discord? Yeah. Maybe it was Discord. Facebook and Discord, but like he's a very, very talented individual. Like people sometimes aren't aware of his background.
I wanted to jump in and ask about the algorithm and like the style that's kind of, I feel like I haven't been using it for like as long as a lot of other people have been using it. Being like, you know, famously European, there's less European people on X compared to other platforms, and I think that will change over time, and we want to be a big player in that. But I feel like that there's like a massive kind of like style type thing on X where, you know, you see all of these like very well edited launch videos coming out, stylish kind of B2B SaaS companies on their, you know, super clean like timelines, all of this kind of stuff. What's the difference in X now in that kind of realm with all these launch videos kind of going viral and being like very cool compared to like Twitter, you know, back 10 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think also, well, basically, really quick to touch upon the US versus Europe. So when I joined the fund, the first thing I did for about 3 months was build all these like data-driven sourcing systems. And a lot of them were using Twitter data and LinkedIn data to try to, you know, speak to founders as early as possible and find people that are building. Right. And it like such bias towards US founders just because, you know, like just everyone is on Twitter in the US and not so much Europe. So if you please bring everyone to Twitter.
Yeah, we're trying.
In Europe, and then my data systems won't be biased anymore. But yeah, I think it's definitely like there's been a shift in content, of course, and everyone is such a video expert. Like it's like amazing to see all of the storytelling that's being created with video, and that see the launches on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And in some ways, it's really powerful because you get these 2-minute clips of, okay, why does this company exist and why should we care about them? And that's important, and that's important for a launch. At the same time, I definitely miss the days where, you feel like it's like really like community driven. So you feel like everyone on your timeline, like, personally, even though you obviously don't know them personally, but like you feel like you're part of the family because you're watching people interact. And it's a lot of the reasons why I like joined Chapter One in the first place, because Jeff is like such a center, he's such a center person in product and revenue and go to market in the San Francisco and LA scene. And he was actually the only person really on my timeline from like 2016 onward. And it was just really cool to like know what was going on within the startup community, like through Jeff's eyes and what they were building at Tinder. And then also like through kind of everyone else within the startup and venture network. And I think what is also difficult now is that you have like the really highly curated videos and everyone, thinking like it's been so long to like draft tweets and like ChatGPT and whatever it is. And then you also have these like videos that are, I don't know what your timeline looks like, but I'm like, why is someone showing me like a cookie like decorated in like, frosting, or like someone like cutting off like a crock and it's like a cake. I just like that stuff. I'm like, how does the algorithm feeding me this? And so I think I really like would love the in between back where actually people are sharing ideas in real time. You're building in public, and I think also too, like if you're for companies and individuals that are trying to build a brand, like there's such a Twitter's really hard, but it really is about just kind of like flying and like with thoughts and just tweeting real time, like everything that's top of mind.
But you're
well, you heard it here first, Nikita. Get it back to kind of in that middle ground.
At him on that. We are out of time, but I just want to say quickly, like you are so right. Like sometimes when we see, especially in consumer AI companies, like if they're not on X, I think it's like a massive disadvantage, right? You kind of have to, because most of the consumer AI companies, their markets are global, right? Like they don't really niche down into a specific, like let's only do UK or let's only do like, Helsinki or something. But yeah, like it's to not be in like, the town square almost, like advertising your product, whether it's with memes, whether it's running ads, whether it's just like building in public, whatever it is. Like I feel like it is a big disadvantage because there's almost no ceiling on how large like your distribution could go if something pops off. I remember when we were at Convergence, we did a launch that like had a bit of money behind it in terms of ads, but the organic stuff used to, if one of the posts popped off organically, like the conversion was actually like nuts. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything say. We're so sorry, but we are out of time. This has been so fun. This has been such a fun episode.
So great. Well, again, what an honor. Thank you so much for having me on. And for anyone listening, please apply to the Engine Room. Find out more information through my Twitter, engineroom.run, or it'll be retweeted and stuff. So would love for you to apply.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Jameson, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao. Super
awesome.
Cool.
I'm excited about that. That'll be super interesting to see, because it's like what Andreas Klinger was saying the other day, that there's a ton of like micro communities everywhere that are like the density of talent in all of these smaller communities is massive, and I think London is a great place to kind of build that, and the AI engine is a great place to start to build out the engine room.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And an absolutely sick name.
Yeah, I think the name is really cool. It's very like.
And kudos to actually coming up with it like for a human.
I love that. You like love the name. You obviously didn't come up with it. It's like immediate Mog. But no, Jameson, what an amazing guest. We should definitely get down to one of the poker games. Yeah, I feel like
let's live stream a poker game, right?
We can do that. You just want to live stream everything recently.
Yeah.
But no, like really cool. Like, and it's nice to have something that's a bit different from, as we said, like, let's go to this, I don't know, WeWork and all sit in a circle and talk about X, Y, Z. Like, sometimes that can be great. sometimes it can be a little bit boring. I think obviously this is overdone, I think, in SF. Sometimes it's quite forced, but I think if you can get like a nice balance of, like, I saw one the other day that looked really cool, that was like, again, there's elements here where it is like slightly performative, but like it was just a little like chess get together. They had some nice food, looked like a great place to hang, great place to chat about stuff, you know, play a bit of chess, play a bit of poker maybe.
There's less, I think gamifying certain events is like such a big play. And it should be done more often, you know, just getting people in a room. Like that's a classic saying of like, just get people in a room, you know, bouncing between each other. And that's kind of like, that's what, you know, that is what networking is. And it's not like get the walls down by playing a game or whatever and having a good time. And so that's what we wanted to do at our launch event.
Yeah, which I think I went quite, you know, that element to it. I mean, Andreas said himself, right? But I guess he's live on,
like,
on our
super
show,
cool.
so
Yeah.
maybe slightly biased, but we did that on purpose, right? We wanted it to be a little bit more, you know, you can just come in and if you want to just smoke cigs and have a drink in the smoking area, then
So
that's
European.
like absolutely fine.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to be like straight edge. And then I think initially we were going to do no non-alcoholic drinks.
No. Were we going to do no alcohol at one point, were we?
No.
I know.
We were always going to do alcohol.
Oh,
we
right.
were going to do no
Non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholic
Oh, okay, fine.
drinks. Yeah. God, I wouldn't even turned up if there was no alcohol.
That's jokes. I just want to touch quickly, so funny, Dan Gray at Credit Stick has commented on our tweet and said, pounding Red Bulls like absolute madmen. And then at Huel need to hook you up with a sponsorship ASAP. I don't know, man. I think like these Red Bulls, they were gifted, by the way. They weren't, you know, this isn't a sponsor, this isn't an ad. Talking about ads, I think we should do a quick ad read.
It's not an ad, is it? So let's get the logos.
Yeah, we should have put our ads logos on there. But C-Point, get back control of your finances with C-Point, your startup's financial home. C-Point is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting.
On that as well, there's a really cool short video that our amazing editor built out around C-Point, their founding team, and a couple of their angel investors as well who they're working with. It's on our Instagram accounts, TikTok account, and YouTube Shorts. Really good, quick explainer video about C-Point, you know, who they're funded
And why
by.
they're going to win. Like,
yeah.
They have an unbelievable team of ex-Stripe COO is the founder.
The founder is ex-CTO of Algolia, some of the founding team / angel investors, ex-Revolut, ex-Stripe, ex-Tide. So just like payments, platform, startup, mafia.
Yeah.
Nuts
stuff.
Bunch of individuals.
Up next we have Zoe Kin. She is VP at Dawn Capital. She is actually the owner of AI, or the founder of AI Engine. She was at she actually hosted us at the House of Lords the other day. So it'd be super interesting to talk to her, understand the background, and understand what Dawn Capital are getting up to, and talk about, from her perspective, the engine room, and also understand if she came up with that name legitimately or from ChatGPT. That'd be super interesting. Another ad read, Jack and Jill, don't miss the unmissable jobs at the hottest companies. Jack and Jill will listen to what you want and search thousands of new jobs every hour to find job opportunities worth seeing. Go to jackandjill.ai to check them out. They've got a beautiful website, almost as beautiful as Fora's offices, actually.
Oh, what a transition.
I'm getting better at this ad read stuff.
Hit that,
Fora, flexible office spaces. Private offices, whole floors, or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes at over 60 locations across London, the UK, and Germany. Go to foraspace.com to go and check them out. We use Fora. They are unbelievable. As we said on the show the other day, we get out of a coffee meeting with a VC investor or whatever, a founder, search on our phone, and there's always a Fora about 200 meters minimum away. It's unbelievable. That's here in London. They have some offices in Germany as well, so super cool. And then our final sponsor, ACI.dev, the open source middleware to control, govern, and observe AI access to your tools and data. That is at ACI.dev. Go and check them out. We have 2 minutes until Zoe is gonna join us. Anything you wanted to mention?
Open call out again for the stacking of the shelves. We forgot to mention that we are also getting a Lego F1 car. Might be getting a Lego F1 car.
If they're super nice to us.
If someone is very nice to us, which would be really, really cool. We are planning to stack out these shelves. We've got, mostly it's VCs sending stuff in. It's like VCs in London and around Europe. But a few cool companies are sending some stuff in. So yeah, once again, if you want to get something on these shelves, send it in, and we'll have it on stream. But yeah, up next, as Luke says, Zoe Quinn, quite keen to chat about our launch party and apologising for pulling out with Dawn. Because it was initially, as we said, meant to be with Dawn Capital's offices. I remember the whole team sent me like...
I don't think it's not going to be awkward. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but they sent me like a lovely email, like, let's do this, and this. And it was just so nice. The team was so good. And then I had to message Zoe. She'd be like, hey... Like, this is like a back channel on WhatsApp. Like the WhatsApp back channel. Just like, hey, so can't really do it anymore. But as I said, they were all like awesome about it. But I want to talk about the House of Lords event with her as well, because that was a really fun day. Like similar to what we were saying earlier, when it's like there's an event, it's like you walk in and it's like handshakes. Little bit stiffed back, not really sure how to like maneuver around the room, but like everyone there was super nice, super engaging.
Generally some of the best builders and I guess investors in the UK building at the House of Lords, an unbelievable venue. Go and have a look at our feed. You can see a few pictures from when we were there. We were wearing our famous blue caps, as what Ronan was wearing.
Kind of stuck out.
That if you do want any, reach out to us and we will we'll come to your offices and give you some anywhere in Europe, maybe in the US if you're European as well. But I think we have Zoe on. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Amazing.
Boom. Zoe, welcome to the European Technology Network. How is your day going? And what are you excited about coming up?
It's going well. I heard there's a lot of questions and statements coming my way based on the previous episodes and the previous conversations.
Oh, amazing! I hope it's good.
What were they?
Wait,
I want to know specifically.
Well, no, I was just tuning in already because I'm so excited about what you guys are building. And so I'd be very happy to answer the questions that you have in your mind about the names, and would love to kind of chat more about the House of Lords. Don't worry, there's nothing thorny coming.
Okay, I was going to say the most pressing question that we have, or I guess I have.
You have.
Is, was the name straight from the dome? Was it from ChatGPT? Because the engine room is a sick name. I feel like we should have come up with that.
Luke said it was so good they didn't even believe that you guys had come up with it.
Yeah.
It has came out of the dome, as you
Yes.
put it. It was. Thank you.
Let's go.
That's great.
So the name kind of came to me at a 1 a.m. or like 2 a.m. I think James and I, from the first event we ran, established the habits of communicating at very late hours, and from here, kind of, I'll also like give a shout out to Jameson's husband, who came up with the name AI Engine in the first place. Our first event was going to be called the UK Inter-University Hackathon.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
And Carl very much stepped in and told us we needed to pick a name instead. So very much started there with AI
applause,
Engine.
I think, for saving us all from that.
We should get him on to explain what your thought process was. To be honest, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Super glad that you ended up on the AI Engine and now the engine room. I think it's a great turn of events.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to say, like, the ecosystem of the investors and tech companies and media companies are really evolving and adapting. So very glad to see ETN launching and be part of that, bringing this great vibe to the ecosystem. It's fun and it is useful. Like, we need positivity for the technology industry here.
So
I
thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
I mean, look, we're only as good as our brilliant guests, so it's an honour to have you on the show. And you probably heard us talking about the event that you set up with AI Engine at the House of Lords just before you came on air. Sorry, with UK and I and AI Engine. That event was awesome. That event was really nice. Obviously, the venue was incredible. There was like an element of, this is very different. I mean, we obviously have to go through scanners. We're in the House of Lords. We're by the river. We get, the official tea set. But that aside, there were a really great mix of people in there, both in what they're doing and what they're building, but also how just genuinely polite they were and nice they were and inclusive and approachable. So wanted to say thank you for letting us be a part of that. Thank you for letting us be there. And you did an amazing job hosting some incredible minds in an incredible location. Can you maybe talk to us about that event, I guess, as a whole, some of the people that were there, how you found hosting it? You did a really great speech.
So I'll start perhaps with how it came about. So as we mentioned, over the last 6 months, we started building this event series and a community around the AI Engine brand, and we've been very focused around the builders. The builder side, what that means is hackathons. We organize kind of co-working days here at the Dawn office. We also host these kind of workshop sessions in the evening, what we call mini hacks, and trying to get people to build more. However, the ecosystem doesn't just thrive because people build. It's also because people adopt. And that's something really hits home to me as someone who is investing in B2B software. It's something that a lot of funds, including ourselves, are investing our energies in understanding and facilitating and helping companies take that next step of adoption. And as someone who used to work on the trading floor at Goldman with 1,000 people, I can tell you firsthand, it was impossible and difficult to get any piece of software. So I very much empathize with the targeted buyers. And when we talk about innovators and adopters, this faceless idea and how difficult it is. So with the kind of House of Lords celebration, we felt like it's about time to bridge that gap and open the next chapter of our discussion. So not just talking about building and innovating, but also talking about adoption and the innovators. So we announced the first installment of the Next Wave Entrepreneurs Award. We recognize 25 people who are exactly these. They're in large organizations. They needed to kind of push through many stakeholders and building up cases just to make something happen. But they're interested, and they're that kind of they're at the gateway of making things happen. And my friends would all agree I'm the person who likes to pull a thread across all of the different groups. And that's exactly what I'm doing here with AI Engine. We're bringing together the builders. So we had outstanding participants from our previous hackathons. We have partners and tech entrepreneurs who were sponsoring our previous events, as well as just being kind of great champions of the tech ecosystem here. But we've also invited along these corporate innovators from leading organizations to be part of the conversation. And of course, thank you very much to Laura Kirkhope, who were kind enough to host us, and UKAI, who really helped us make this event possible. We had a lot of great conversations and good follow-ups, and we look forward to seeing the Next Wave Entrepreneurs list continue to expand year after year, and that translating into real innovation and adoption as well.
Awesome. Such a good explanation of what you're building and the impact. I want to know specifically the impact on your work at Dawn, and how all of this work is actually kind of paying off with you investing full time at Dawn and kind of the thesis that Dawn are working towards.
Yeah, of course. So maybe just a quick introduction on Dawn as well, for those of you that haven't met us before. We're the largest dedicated European B2B software investor here in Europe. We have around 3 billion in AUM, based in central London, in the Ilona Rose house, very much the icon, I would like to think, in terms of tech events today. And when it comes to, I guess, like how this relay into our investment thesis and help us with investing, I think community is at the heart of our investing and operating at Dawn as well. You guys mentioned our event space. We very much host many different events and lighthouse events sometimes here in London. I think we did a counting recently. There's been 180 events today to date this year.
Wow.
And that included, for example, the 11 Labs model launch. We are hosting someone else's product launch today. Yesterday, we had the CTO summit. And tomorrow evening, we're hosting the Tech Games, I think, chess night. So it's a wide variety, but we really, really kind of emphasize on being the place where people meet and converse. And I guess like when it comes to how everything that we're doing here is helping us as an investor, there's a couple of ways. I think the first and most obvious, it helps us discover and uncover new entrepreneurs that could become, our future investments. I think that part we don't need more explanation, and we're already seeing some of it come to fruition. But the second part is also it helps us understand what are the emerging technology trends, and hear from the users really firsthand and seeing it kind of being built and being used. So I won't dive into too much details just yet to spoil it. But for example, in the generative AI and specifically generative media space, this has been really, really helpful for us to just hear it from the users, and really hearing that their need and their want, and it helps translate into understanding for companies and thesis building. And then on the other side, we are a European fund. We have a very specific mandate. This is also a great opportunity for us to engage with the broader ecosystem, because the ecosystem is not just B2B SaaS, as much as we'd like to think so. And the last point is we can add value to our portfolio companies. So for example, one of our company, Enforcer, made a hire within 2 weeks after our summer flagship event because they met a lot of talent there. This weekend, I'm teaming up with some of our portfolio company, including Medusa, who has recently launched their agentic commerce module. We're going to Warsaw, and we're going to be hopefully seeing how people can build with the platform. So there are so many different ways that we're already seeing this come to fruition, and I can't wait to see more.
Wow, so awesome. I wanted to ask as well, you mentioned a little bit off piece, but you mentioned your previous role at Goldman. I remember when we spoke on the phone, I think it was the first time that we'd met. I think it was Will from Seed Camp that introed us. And I didn't know too much about your background at the time, but your intro was just like astonishing, right? It was like obviously incredibly well traversed individual, like very intelligent. And it was just like a star-studded cast of quant at Goldman, and then now investor at Dawn, and now I'm a VP and recently got promoted. But what's the transition from life at Goldman to life at Dawn, right? Because I think it's becoming more popular. Sounds like you did it before, it was cool, but it's becoming more popular for traditional finance people to step into this growth, early stage investing roles. Can you maybe talk about the differences and what that journey looked like?
Yeah, so I would say kind of for anyone that has worked in an investment bank, actually the private market and the public market are quite different. So that's number one. I would say people coming from investment banking backgrounds within, for example, M&A, are traditionally already going into the growth investing sector. It's less common in the public sector because people generally go on to hedge funds or becoming kind of public market analysts. In my case, actually, in my desk. On my desk, very much thanks to my kind of old seniors. We were a slightly different team where we were building a lot of different types of technologies. So my team was responsible for creating data sets that people can purchase separately as a subscription product. And I remember one of the days where I was fixing people's API calls over Bloomberg Chat. So personally, I was very much always in the technology space, and my first internship actually was in the software engineering side within Goldman. Jack and Joe, I know you guys just got on earlier. Sarah was actually on my internship cohort. That's where we met for the first time. So my background, even though it sounds like traditional finance, is actually more coming from a technology perspective. So for me, like, it's very much bringing the different elements together through experimenting in different roles. I realized I'm interested in technology and I want to learn more. And I love people. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to understand their story. I wanted to help them grow. And then the last point is investing. There's nothing that can really replace the feeling of seeing kind of the companies that you invest in and their hyper growth journey, including one of my portfolio companies, FlatPay, that just announced that they crossed the 100 million revenue run rate mark 2 days ago. They're in London now, so hopefully you get to see them around as well.
Wow,
so bringing the
we'll
three
have to get them
elements together.
We love those numbers. We love those big numbers.
Of course.
Yeah, if you can help us get them on, that'd be super cool.
For sure. I'll drop them a message after this.
Yeah, cool. I wanted to ask the community element at Dawn obviously is massive. 180 events is like absolutely absurd. I've actually never been to the Dawn offices, but
You're like low-key trying to get an invite, right?
Yeah, low-key trying to get an invite.
I've never been, by the way, so.
Ronan's spoken very highly of the Dawn offices. I wanted to understand is there like a direct impact hosting all of these events? Because that it's not a simple task. It's not just getting people in a room. It's all the other stuff that comes with it. And I'm sure running events yourself alongside your full-time position at Dawn, it's no easy task. What is that like direct correlation, and how does that help with the kind of community element that you guys are like striving for at Dawn?
Yeah, so kind of as I mentioned, we obviously have a beautiful office here in London, and we really kind of provide the space to events and communities and people who we believe adds value to the broader tech ecosystem. And we, as investors, our takeaway is obviously we can drop in and out of these events and have access to the great people and content that happens there. So very much thanks to the events team here in London that's able to make everything smooth, and for us to just focus more and more on the core content itself. And we want the space to be inspiring, and this is part of our value proposition as well as investors. We host customer summits here for our portfolio companies, as an example. And some of our portfolio companies, when in town, will use some of our office space as well.
Very cool. And going back to, I feel like we kind of covered it too quickly, but the AI engine stuff, what is it that you guys are planning for the future of this, right? So the House of Lords event was kind of our first taste of what you're building with it. What's the future plan? What do the next 6 months look like? What's the mission?
Yeah, so the next 6 months is very exciting. Jameson has already shared what she is planning now with the engine room. It's going to be hosted at our office. So Luke, you're very much welcome to drop by either in the evenings or for the demo days.
Appreciate it.
The invite is out there. So the engine room is kind of a continuation and the accelerator program that allows the builders to continue building. And then on the event side, we are doing our first non-London event this weekend in Warsaw. We have a couple others planned that is to be announced. We're also starting to work closer and closer with the tech leaders here on more dedicated events. So subscribe to our Luma calendar, subscribe to our newsletter. You'll be the first to know as we release new programs out here. And as we mentioned, the ambition is to drive change. And I think we will do everything and anything to make that happen. So whether it is hackathons, accelerators, or corporate innovator events, and there's more and more coming in order to make that goal happen.
We love that. We love that so much. And it kind of like brings me on to the next thing I wanted to ask. Like the first event location, House of Lords, like one, how do you get into the House of Lords for an event, right? Like that's not like a really commonplace where you know, startups or like people will set up events. Like
We tried to hit them up for our launch event and they just didn't.
like, I kind of want to maybe for like another launch party, but how does one get into the House of Lords? How do you guys do that?
This is where I definitely have to say my thank you to UK AI organization. They are a kind of trade association here in London, serving the UK SMB sector. They are very much pushing the discussion with the government. As you guys all know, this is a very different ball game, I think, compared to the commercial side of the discussion. So we're very happy to have had them as a partner to help us navigate through that. So when it comes to how you can do your next event, I think liaising with trade associations would be my suggestion.
Good tip. I think we actually have a meeting with them on tomorrow, actually.
We have a busy day
in
tomorrow.
Covent Garden, so that let's definitely bring that
All
up.
right. Well,
That's a good tip.
I look forward to my invite.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love
That's so awesome. There was another thing that I wanted to ask. You mentioned, when we were outside, you guys were filming a lot of content. What was that like on the day? Like, I've seen some of the stuff posted, but I remember Luke and I did an interview, which ended up being quite embarrassing. Because I think one of the opening questions was...
Do you drink tea? That one?
No, it wasn't like, do you drink tea? And Zoe, I think it was you that interviewed, right?
How do you like your tea?
Yeah, how do you like your tea? And my initial response was like, I actually hate tea. Which was maybe not the answer that you were looking for, but like, how was that? And also, when is that content coming out? I'd love to like erase it from the internet.
I'd love for it to not come out.
We're working very hard on it. As I mentioned, I wear many hats. One of the hats is being an investor. So it does kind of come in and out. But the content will be out. We started our socials on Instagram and TikTok, as well as X. So one of these mediums, there will be a segment, which is how do you like your tea? And then you could go through whichever association you would go out to in order to have it erased.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well,
Are you saying
That
you're
is
going
the
to post
content.
the video of Brennan saying he hates tea?
Yeah, I look forward to throwing my phone out the window.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be the hook at the start of the meeting. Yeah.
It's going to be everywhere.
I could also be, yeah.
Yeah. What's the app that people should go and
plug
follow?
the socials.
Yeah, plug the socials.
So the Instagram account is AI Engine Hack, and I believe TikTok is the same.
Cool.
So I will also be posting it kind of on our official channels. So we've also just launched a Discord engine after deliberating on whether we should have a instant messaging channel or not. We decided for it in the end because people want to be sharing information with each other, and it's easier for us to run in-person events with instant messaging. So also please feel free to join and chat with the other people who are interested in making change happen. Find your co-founders, discover new tools, and learn from each other. I think as I mentioned at the House of Lords, this has been a big year for me, but I think this is really building AI engine and driving change is something really, really core to my heart because I came to this country when I was 18 and I used to study sciences and was a technologist, but it was very hard to see representation of the startup and scale up ecosystem. And I would just want to kind of create the platform for startups and scale ups to partner with us and amplify the message, as well as kind of creating representation for the younger generation and making it available and allowing people to make our kind of tech ecosystem great.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
What a way to end. Look, we're out of time. Thank you so much, Zoe, for coming on, and keep us updated. I'll be waiting for the invite to the Dawn offices in my inbox soon. And yeah, thank you so much.
I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to my hat, and I'll ship this hat to you guys to put on
We
the
can
show.
do a trade.
Yeah, we'll do a trade.
We can
For
do
sure.
a trade for sure.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Zoe.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Cheers, Zoe.
Bye. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.
Love it.
Awesome. They're building some cool stuff. Just to, do you have anything else to say other than sponsors?
I think we covered. I'm just checking news stuff.
Okay, while you're looking at news, Cpoint, get back control of your finances with Cpoint, your startup's financial home. Cpoint is a business account that handles invoice payments, expenses, payroll, and reporting. Go to cpoint.co for all things business finances. They are killing it. Go and have a look at our reel on Instagram, ETN show with 2 W's, I believe. Their team is cracked, so go and have a look at them. They're going to win, and if you're running a business, Cpoint is the place to be. And physically, Fora is the place to be if you're running a business too. Flexible office spaces, private offices, whole floors or dedicated desks. Fora offers workspace solutions for teams of all sizes at over 60 locations across London, the UK, and Germany.
Love it. Love every single second of it. I think, is that the show?
That's the show. Thank you so much for joining us on show 2 of the European Technology Network. If you want a hat, DM us. If you want to get something on the shelves behind us, DM us. Yeah, let us know in the comments or DM us if you have any suggestions to improve the show too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Tuesday next week. Tune in. Episode 3.